Someone's having a party.
Smartass is like this. He's sick. Always has, always will. Oh yeah, you got your smartass, but you got your smartass theories. But you don't know the value of a hard day's work, do you, huh? Smartass is like you. All you know is how to use your head, and not your hands. And you got your big brain ideas and your big brain smartasses. But you know, if you had to use your hands, you wouldn't live a day, would you? And you know how to stop a hard-working man with your smart-ass accountants and your smart-ass legal funk. Well, I've been putting up with smart-asses like you all my life. I've been...
Because of the bizarre nature of this birthday party, pray you're not invited. Behind every curtain, someone is waiting.
Mister, that is a lady you're smacking. That's the trouble with guys like you. Smart asses like you. Shut up, dude. Anyway, I'm sure a woman like yourself can see that a guy like that deserves what he gets from a guy like me. And if he gets it, bingo, he got it. What do you want to do?
Curtains, the ultimate nightmare.
Yes, y'all, it's going down right now. Episode 252 of the Triple Shots and Moodz and Horror podcast is coming at you live and direct with the homie, JP, also known as the Mexicant. We got Mr. Saucedo, also known as Tyler, back in the house. And welcoming back to the show, we have Mr. Freemason. And of course, I be your host, the MOOD to the Z, representing the West Coast. Y'all know me, Moodz. Yeah.
Now, Moodz, was it that hard to do an intro?
Shut the fuck up. God, you're such a fucking raging dick.
That was legit.
Oh man. Okay, like I said, okay, the vinegar syndrome thing, I'm gonna explain that away. JP put me on the spot because I went into recording that day thinking that JP was going to be hosting the show, considering it was kind of his mastermind idea and stuff. And then he's like, "No, you do it." I'm like, "What the fuck?" And everybody knows how I love to be prepared. I hate doing things spur of the moment. I'm super prepared when it comes to all this recording. So that just threw me for a loop, to be honest.
Dude, it was so funny.
But I mean, oh yeah,
put it on your channel too.
It was very awkward. Yeah. It's on the channel and stuff. So, but yeah, no, the audio version will actually have like intro music to it and stuff. I don't know if you guys checked out the audio version of it.
No, I didn't. I gotta check that.
But I actually used the some of the music from New York Ninja from Vinegar Syndrome in the intro, so that was kind of cool. So really for those of you who don't know, we started a new podcast. It is titled the Syn Bin podcast, and it is currently available out now on Moodz channel. Check it out. I was actually very happy with how it turned out.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, it turned out really, really well. And you know, it's really funny too, because like I said, like we weren't overly prepared going into it in terms of like who was hosting and what we were going to do and stuff. But I think the whole construction of the show turned out really, really good. But the thing that surprised me was that it was kind of a last minute thing to do it on video. And we just
it was completely last minute.
Like there was no talk about doing it on video. We're just like, hey, we have our videos on. Let's just record it like this. And then it kind of made sense because people have asked us over the years to do video podcasts of this show. We've really only ever did them for like extended lists and things like that. So we tried out that format, but I wasn't really too sure on how it was going to turn out. But using Zoom in the format that it has, I think it looks good on there. And so for the Syn Bin, it worked out really, really well. And, you know, for Tony recording for his first time, did really awesome. Didn't seem overly awkward. And that's the tough thing too with recording on video, because a lot of people don't like to be seen. Right. It's not like me and you, JP, we've been making videos on YouTube for, you know, more than a decade. Mm-hmm. So we're used to being on camera and stuff like that. But for other people, but it turned out well. It looked good, you know, for what it is. And I thought it sounded well. And that was a raw, uncut show, too. Like what you guys saw on the video was exactly how it went. I didn't even edit anything. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it seemed like people liked it, and you know, it was exciting to see people, you know, commenting and stuff like that. And then also you know, it flowed well, and I liked the product, and I look forward to doing the next one.
Yeah, it has I think a lot of people commented on how it went because like they like the format of, you know, short little intro, but then get into, you know, the 4 solo reviews and then, you know, the collective review too.
Yeah.
It just flowed really, really well. And like, it didn't surprise me when I was doing the show notes after the fact, and my review was like a half an hour long. I'm like, of course.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at that.
Can't shut the fuck. I literally was like 30 minutes long. I'm like, what the fuck, Moodz? Like you just you never shut up, man. So, but I think it was because like doing, you know, having a format of covering special features, and there's so much to cover, and there's like so many interesting factoids and things like that. It's just hard not to bring it up, right? So
yeah. Well, I'm gonna like shoot myself because I looked on my release for next show, and there's fucking 3 commentaries, bro.
I feel like some of the releases that we end up reviewing aren't going to have as much special features. Like something like Redneck Zombies is going to have a lot, right? Because it's a little bit more popular film in terms of like shot on video and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like I haven't looked at the special features for the films that I'm doing for next show, but I have no idea. Like there could be a ton, there might not be a lot. I have no idea. So
I think I'm just gonna make it a point to like maybe watch like 1 or 2 of my favorite special features and just like highlight those among like what else it has.
I like the commentaries because, I mean, if they're an interesting one, I've listened to some commentaries in the past, and I'm just like, this is so bad, like so bad, you know?
Yeah,
like
I've ran into some bad commentaries.
Yeah. Oh man. But anyways,
yeah, like this the one that I'm doing for our March show doesn't have much special features. There's like a 20 some minute interview, and then like a 14-minute interview and a commentary. So that one will be easy.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, I'm actually covering 2 different films. I mean, I'll briefly cover them and then get into the features. So I'm not sure how much features are going to be on them. I guess I could probably just kind of, because I know 88 had put out one of the films. So I wonder if some of those things are ported over to Vinegar Syndrome, but I have no idea. Have to wait and see. So, but anyways, yeah. So the Sin Bin show, check that out. Shameless plug, but we don't care over here. 22 shots.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, for the people that are listening to this for the first time, it's me, JP, Tyler, and Tony Hartman. So
yeah,
that's the show. But yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, so episode 252, we are covering Canucksploitation. This is volume 1. And the films that we're going to be covering today is Happy Birthday to Me, 1981, Curtains, 83, and The Carpenter from 1988. So 3 themed films from Canada, obviously slasher films.
Which are also have a theme of like sort of like mental illness.
Oh,
which
100%. And you know what's funny about that? I even have that written down. And it was something I was going to bring up too. And when we were doing the reviews, that was not planned.
I know. That's why I was like, by the time I got to Curtains, because I'd watched Happy Birthday to Me, Carpenter, and then Curtains.
Why do you do it to me? You know, it kills me. That's completely out of order.
I went out of order this week too. I went Carpenter, Happy Birthday to Me, Curtains.
Oh God!
But by the time I got to Curtains, which is a film that I'd never seen before, I was like, "Holy shit!" All 3 of these have like a similar theme.
Oh, it's totally like a mental illness, like mental health issues. Yeah, it's so bizarre. It really is bizarre. And it just makes it even more, you know, relative to today's world, right? Because I mean, we deal with a lot of mental health stuff in today's world and stuff, and I mean, it's just kind of talked about a little bit more, right? Yeah. But yeah, so it's very relevant. So interesting, but yeah, Canucksploitation Volume 1. I mean, we could probably end up doing tons of these shows, man. I really like these themed out kind of world area type things. I want to get back to doing more of these type of things, especially doing another Aussie show. You know, like I mean, but there's tons of places we can explore for sure. But I like these type of shows. So
yeah,
pretty
too.
cool.
They're cool.
Yeah. So speaking of shows, our next show after this one is going to be the top 10 of 2011, which we're going to be recording in 2 weeks. Next week, we will have no show because of the Super Bowl, obviously. So the next show that we're going to be recording is 2011. So we're kind of in the crunch time for that.
Yep.
Getting down to the nitty gritty. I think most of us are pretty much there and fully prepared. So, I mean, I'm assuming JP's probably not because he is the Mexican.
Yeah, I'm only at 32 watches.
Really?
Damn.
Dude, we've had months to do this. Like,
I'm a 55.
Yeah, I slack so hard. And the funny thing is I'm at 33 watches, and I literally watched, well, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I watched 13 of them in the last week.
damn, dude, what the hell, man? What have you been doing? Like, what have you been watching that wasn't 2011 films?
2023 movies.
2023 for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Christmas
fucking
movies,
so happy that shit's over
Halloween
with, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was up to somewhere around 25, I think, when we started 23 prepping. So I was okay.
I was actually doing a quick count here. So the last time we talked about 2011 on this podcast was when we did the Dead River trilogy, which involved The Woman, of course. So we kind of killed two birds with one stone with that film. And that was we had talked about films, I'd watched preview up to that point. So since then, I've watched 23 movies from 2011.
Wow.
Ooh,
Yeah, so I've put in 23, and it's just such a mixed bag of stuff. Like some really good ones, some interesting ones, like some shittier ones. But I've honestly been having fun with 2011. It's just too bad the majority of the movies don't have great releases. There's a lot of DVDs, a lot of muddiness, and it's kind of interesting I think it's because we're so blessed with so many movies getting royal treatments now that we're so used to watching movies either in 1080p or 4K or whatever, that you watch these DVD releases and you're like, wow, they look terrible. Right?
Yeah.
It's so crazy how many movies just have that real dusty, muddy look.
This era is sort of nostalgic for me a little bit because so high school ended in 2010, and then the next year I started getting into the YouTube and stuff. I started watching people do horror stuff on YouTube in 2010, 11. So I remember people talking about these movies and stuff. And then I think I started my channel 1 year after this. So 2012. So it is kind of nostalgic for me at this point to sort of go back and revisit some of this era of movies. Whereas someone like Carly, this year is a bad year for her because some stuff that was going on in her life during this year. So it's the reverse of what's happening to me.
Right. Yeah. 2011. It's an interesting year. It honestly, see, a lot of these movies are kind of almost nostalgic for me also because I have a very similar story because I started my channel in 2012, this month. Actually right about now is probably about 12-year anniversary kind of thing of the channel. So a lot of these films were being watched at that time. And so, yeah, I have this kind of nostalgia for the After Dark originals and films like that and stuff that I thought were really cool when they were coming out. And there's certain films that just always stuck with me from that time, things like The Taint and The Disco Exorcist. These are movies that I love watching and stuff, to this day, Alice Kills and shit like that. And it's kind of funny, we talk about nostalgia and a lot of people associate it with, when you're growing up and you're younger and stuff, but this is only 12 years ago kind of thing, right? And, but it has that nostalgic feel to it because of what we were doing. We were changing kind of what we were doing in our life. We were starting up channels and we were putting focus on that. So these things have a special place, for a brand new kind of beginning and things like that. So I get it completely. I associate nostalgia, like I said, with the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. But it's gotten to the point now where it's so far removed it's hard to believe that I've been doing YouTube for 12 fucking years. It's just that's a long time. It's a long time. We've been doing the show for over 10 years. It's just crazy, but it's pretty interesting to look at some of the movies and go, shit, man, I got nostalgia for these. It's I watched Super 8 and I'm I saw when it came out and shit. And I'm I really love Super 8, man. I think that's a great fucking movie.
Yeah,
I think it's like a modern kind of sci-fi version of like the Goonies in a sense, right? That's how I
That's what I
perceive
was
it.
thinking.
You know, it's like,
Right.
yeah, it's not the same as the Goonies, but it has the similar kind of structure to it and stuff. These good friends and stuff. And I don't know. There's something very awesome about it. I love Super 8. It's great. But anyways, yeah. Getting all goosey and shit, man. Nostalgic feeling. But I mean, it's even the movie like The Innkeepers. Like when it first came out, it was kind of a mixed bag of opinions and feelings, I think, with people, because Ty West was kind of that director that people either really liked his movies or just kind of were indifferent on him and stuff like that. I always liked The Innkeepers, and I rewatched it actually with the wife about a week ago, I think, and she really liked it too. And I like The Innkeepers, man. It's got quirky, like the two main characters are super quirky, and it goes into a place where like the ending is so downbeat to it and shit. Like, I don't know.
I always liked that movie too.
Me too, man.
I never like understood why like so many people didn't like it.
I think it's great, man. I'm a huge fan of shit set in hotels though too. Like it's like mall settings and hotel settings and shit. Like I love those type of settings. So they suck me right in. But this one just goes into a place where you're like, fuck. Like the end of the movie is super downbeat, man. You're like, damn. You just don't see that coming. You really don't.
Yeah.
But
JP probably agrees. Scream 4 is a little nostalgic.
Yeah. See, for me, Scream 4 is nostalgic.
Yeah.
Because I actually remember, do you know what's funny? I remember going to the theater to see Scream. So like I went over to my friend Martin's house and we watched Scream 1, 2, and 3. And then our friend The Butt came over and we went to the theater to see Scream 4.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is they showed a trailer for Fright Night, and I was so annoyed. And they're like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "I'm tired of them remaking everything."
dude, I think I had the same fucking experience, to be honest, because I seen Scream 4 in the theater too, and I'm pretty sure they showed the trailer for Fright Night in there also. And you know my history with Fright Night, right? It's like the original film is the film that I associate with me getting into horror films in general. Right. So the nostalgia level on that one is like over the top. But I'm a big fan of Fright Night in general. Like I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
And being like, and it was at this time period too, where there was a lot of remakes coming out. And, you know, and when they start remaking your all time favorite films, you initially have that reaction of go fuck yourself. Like, I don't want any part of this shit. Right. And even in 2011,
actually, the remake wave was just starting to end here. We had went through such a big boom from like 2003 to like 2012 pretty much.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. I mean, we just went through all these type of remakes, and you know, some were really good and some weren't and stuff like that. But I think it was, well, what was it? 2009 Nightmare on Elm Street got remade, right? Was it 2009?
No, that was Friday the 13th. Elm Street was 10 or 12
or something. So I was just coming off that one.
Yeah, I think it was 10.
And you know, Nightmare on Elm Street is one of my all-time favorites, my favorite franchise, and that one just disgusted me. I was so pissed off at that remake, and even to this day it just annoys me. So, you know, I honestly never gave Fright Night the proper mentality I should have gave it when it came out, because there was no way I hated the movie before I even saw it. Like I was that was the way I was back then. I'm not like that anymore. Like I'll give anything a fair chance. Like I will, even though I deep down I'm like, okay, this is probably not going to be for me. Sometimes I end up loving the movies, you know, like, and loving these remakes and these things. You know, I rewatched Fright Night about a week ago, and it's fucking horrible.
It is not horrible. You guys are so ridiculous.
I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's horrible.
It's practically the same movie as the original.
It's not though. It's not the same movie at all. And you know what really kills me about this movie is how, like, even for 2011, and this is a major studio film, the CG is so bad in it. It looks really, really bad. And the whole 3D, when you watch this movie in 2D, it even comes off even more corny, because you got these moments where things are flying out of the camera.
This movie was 3D? I didn't even know.
Yeah. So when you watch it in 2D, it comes off even cornier. But like I said, though,
well, it didn't for me, because I didn't even notice.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, honestly, dude, like,
dude, Anton
the McLovin, the casting,
is awesome.
Yeah, no, he's the best thing about the movie. He was a great Charlie. He was a great Charlie.
Imogen Poots is way better than Amanda Bierce.
Okay, no. I'll give you that. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Nah, I'm not gonna. That's ridiculous. He's a decent Charlie. But I mean, McLovin's casting. I mean, the thing is with
I don't like
McLovin's
McLovin.
not even in it that
they
much.
kill him off
Yeah.
so early in the remake that he he only comes back and he's really only on screen for like another 7 minutes before they fucking kill him again. Like,
He literally just plays McLovin.
but that's my major problem with the film. And I said that before. I said
Really?
McLovin is so
Yeah.
typecast in the fact that he's like Napoleon Dynamite. It's like that.
They
dude.
literally
He's the
said,
same
like, do
character in every
McLovin.
film. Yeah.
They gave him the lines that they probably tried it some different ones. Like, can you just do it like McLovin?
I don't think he seemed that McLovin-ish.
Oh, he
to
was
me.
McLovin, dude. He
That's
even some
all
of the
I-
What did-
dialogue that
like,
he used.
what did he say that was McLovin?
It was his. It's just not the what he said. Like in particular, it's just like his mannerisms and
That's
like,
just who he is.
it's
But
McLovin.
Him as a
Like-
person, bro.
He's a one-dimensional actor, man. Like he's
He's
literally
McLovin.
McLovin. He was perfectly cast as McLovin because he's
Like-
that nerdy, skinny, fucking dorky kid that really is one-dimensional. It's like we had this conversation about the dude that plays Napoleon Dynamite. Like, could you ever see him in a different role that wasn't Napoleon Dynamite?
He's terrible
I've
in
seen
every
him in a
movie.
few
That's
You
not
things.
can't. That's the thing. Like, he comes off as that same character in every fucking movie. There's no versatility.
He
It
plays
sucks.
the same character, and it just but it sucks. He doesn't look the part anymore. He just looks like a flake.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and well, we're McLovin at this point in
I met
2011.
him
He was
before,
just
man.
coming off
That's
super
great.
bad, right? So he was like the same person. Like
Yeah.
he would dress the
Well,
fucking
John
same.
Peter,
I don't know, man. I can't do it, dude. That CG was actually making me laugh. I was like, my God, it's so much worse than I even remembered.
yeah.
Crazy, man. Crazy shit.
I like the
I can't-
they like kind of figure out like that he's like a vampire, like like the mom and stuff. Whereas like normally it's not like that, you know what I mean? Like normally it's just Charlie like trying to convince people.
Yeah, there's less beating around the bush in this one for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Like they established that, he's a vampire right away. And he's pretty brutal. It's nasty. The construction is a little bit different in the film, but I mean those parts I'm not mad with. It's just more of the effects and oh, man, some of it looks so fucking bad. Dude. It's so bad. I whatever. I don't want to get stuck on this whole Friday night thing, but
right.
I honestly didn't enjoy that for a rewatch. Let's put it that way. But
Listen, looking at my letterbox, there's this guy gave it an 8. This guy gave it an 8. This girl gave it an 8. 7, 7, 7.
I give it a 6. I mean,
What did me and Moodz give it?
Moodz gave it a 2. Well, a 4.
it's a 4, yeah.
Yeah, and Tyler always changes his picture, so I never know who the fuck he is. You're not even on here, dude.
I'm
Well-
El Loco.
oh, look,
I'm
You're
a guy.
Otto.
I'm Klaus Kinski.
You're what?
Oh, Mr. You gave it a 5.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
me take this opportunity.
You guys are the two worst raters besides this guy gave it a 1.
brothers. Y'all don't even follow me on Letterboxd. Let me just call you out on that.
Dude, I actually only follow 3 people. I was trying to find Dave Z.
Well,
on
I
it
know
the other
about
day. I can't even find him.
I
What
follow
is-
you, Mason.
Let me,
Dave
like,
Z's
I like all-
name
I like all
is
your
Dave
follow
Z,
and then
one
follow.
word.
I will unfollow and then follow, and then you'll know.
What's Dave
What-
Z's
what's-
letterbox?
Dave Z is Dave Z, one word.
Oh.
Dave Z goes hard, man. I'm always surprised at his ratings.
Yeah, Dave Z. Let's see what he's been doing. Fright Night 7, Human Centipede 9,
I saw that.
Oh,
I was like,
God.
dude.
I'm
Cabin in the
not
Woods
I
9.
am not looking forward to watching Human Centipede. I don't
He
like that.
gave
Man,
Human
that is-
Centipede 2 a 9. What? That's really shocking coming from Dave. He blows my mind. Like he hates some things
Yeah,
that I
dude.
think that he would like, and then is the polar opposite sometimes.
Damn, Dave got a lot of high ratings here. Fucking
Yeah, he's.
White Melody of Death.
Cabin in the
movie's
Woods,
pretty
he
good.
gave a
That movie's
9.
good.
I'm a,
Am I the
Absentia
only one?
9.
Am I the only one that like Husk? It's so weird. I always like that movie.
No, I have it. I think I gave it like a 6.
I
See,
give it like a
he
4.
gave Mask Maker like a 7, and I actually like Mask. I watched Madison County and Mask Maker back to back, and it's like they're kind of similar in the term of like that era of slasher film. Because, and I figured Dave might actually really like Mask Maker. He might even like Madison County because they're similar in tone, where they're super serious. They take their shit super serious. There's like no jokes in it. It's like straight up fucking people just getting
Oh yeah, he doesn't like comedy.
dead. So
Dude, Dave's going to be coming in hard, bro. He has so many 8s and higher.
yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
So many. Holy shit, dude. Dave's going to have a big list.
see, like, he give The Skin I Live In an 8. It's interesting. Like, he's got some really high ratings on here, and then I have The Skin I Live In rated higher than that. That movie is fucking disturbing as shit.
I have it an 8 as well.
It is so
I have
disturbing.
I believe I have it as an 8 as well.
Man, I forgot how much I love that movie. It is so damn disturbing to me. Like, it's just fucked up, dude. Like, the whole idea.
We're saving that movie for what I like to call the contention rounds, when I try to like watch everything that like might make the top 10 just all at the end.
Yeah.
Even if it's a rewatch, even if it's like in everything that makes my list, I have to have seen at least twice.
Does everybody think they're starting with 8s and higher?
No.
What?
I probably will, because I'm looking, just knowing what my top 10 is pretty much going to be. Yeah, it'll be.
I don't even know how you can't find 10 8s in this fucking massive list of movies.
8 is like classic to me. Classic level movie.
No, it's not. That's not what an
Don't
8
try to
is.
argue with Tyler.
That's my 8. 9 is almost 9. 10 is
you
like,
can, first of all, you can't
Here
call
forever.
anything classic that came out in 2011 anyway.
well,
Yeah.
like I will. All right. Well, that's classic level movie is like an 8 for me.
Okay.
That's some weird ass rating, man.
That is some weird.
But that just
rating.
that falls right into what I always say about ratings. Ratings are for dummies.
I just use a different scale. Like I use a lot of numbers on the scale to rate things.
Let him use his scales.
I don't want to let him use his scale.
Mason, can you like not tell exactly how I feel about a movie by my rating though?
Dude, every time, like you
I'm
gave
pretty,
her
I'm
like a 5.
I'm pretty
and I'm like, dude,
consistent.
I've been pretty confused actually with some things, because you've given them really low ratings, but then talk pretty good about them. So
Right,
I'm like,
Right, that's what I'm
Well,
saying. Like he'll be like,
a
"This
6
movie is like really cool," and like
a
this
6 is
5
good
out
to
of
me.
10.
a 6 is like meh for me.
A 6 is good.
Yeah,
to
like
me.
a 6 is something that I'm not gonna like tell someone to go watch.
Right.
I'll tell like I'm not gonna like lead with 6s if I'm giving movie recommendations, but like it's a movie I'll talk positively about. It's a movie I think is good and I would recommend under the right circumstances. It'll just
I'm-
kind of movie.
The way I've always did it to me is like the majority of movies we watch, right, are between 6 range and like 8 range.
Yeah.
Like, so to me, the average there is like a 7. So like a 7 is like the average movie.
I'm the
but
same way.
Tyler's average is 5, which is stupid.
Yeah. Like, it's just like
It's not bad. It's not
I just
good.
think
It's
like you don't like
average.
movies, bro. When I see
Like
things
I understand not wanting to be willy-nilly with 9s and 10s and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
even
Like
though
if you actually look at my list of like 10 rated movies in the history of the show, there's not a lot. I probably have the least out of everybody. But I feel like 8s are a pretty common rating for me.
but ratings are all
And-
subjective anyways, though. So it doesn't matter if you give a film a 10 and someone gives it an 8. It's just like your opinion on.
Yeah, but
That's-
you're missing my entire point. My entire point is Tyler's stupid.
oh,
Okay.
I'm
You
just
understand
saying.
now?
I'm just saying. I use the whole scale.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, I mean,
Like-
my ratings
I
always
always feel
change
my
from
bro,
like
but
what.
when I see his ratings, I'm like, dude.
Dude, the simplest way to put it is I think 10 is like transcendental, like masterpiece. Like nothing else matters in the world when I'm watching this movie.
Okay.
Like I'm
That's
very
several
slim on my
things.
10s.
Billy
Okay.
Madison.
9 is like excellent. It's like it's very good. It's more than great. It's almost a masterpiece. 8, it's a great movie. It's a classic. 7 is very good. 6
Okay.
is good. 5 is
See,
average.
you think 7 is very good.
Yeah.
I think 7 is good.
7 is like a solid.
That's just the way I scale it. That's really the only difference. I think 5 is average. I think 4 is bad. I think 3 is really bad. 2 is terrible. 1 is like almost the worst thing I've ever seen, but there's something redeemed about it, and like half stars is Hall of Fame bad. Like I don't use my half star or my 5 star like super often.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't use 1/2 star through, a 5 that often
Really go less than
because
2.5.
generally we don't watch a lot of bad movies. You know what I mean?
That's we're doing 2005.
I mean, I was actually just thinking about this last night. Actually, I was going through my Letterboxd or through my my watches. So I watched 67 films so far, and I think I only have 2, maybe 3 under 5. So that's pretty good.
Dude, I don't have any under the swamp. Okay,
Yeah,
I have a couple under, but it's stuff that I knew was going to be under, like Swamp Shark. You know what I mean? Like, I just threw it on because I was like cleaning or something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, no, this year has been like pretty solid. But like, I've not watched anything that I've like actively like hated.
Yeah.
Even stuff that isn't like that good, like The Incident or Asylum Blackout, I still had like quality to it.
Yeah,
certain qualities.
I didn't watch them, but yeah, I mean, I watched them. Like, I'm having a lot of fun, like revisiting a lot of these films too. Like the first watch I did after The Woman was a movie called Mortuarius, Legions of the Dead, and it was actually put out by Synapse on Blu-ray back in like 2015 or something like that. It's an Italian film actually. And it had like a huge reputation for being pretty violent and pretty nasty and gritty and shit like that. And I remember when Synapse was releasing it, I was like, oh, well, fuck, man, like a modern Italian film that has a reputation. I'm like, I need to check this shit out. And I remember really digging it when it came out. And I rewatched it and I like completely had forgot most of the shit about the film. And it's like the tale of like 3 different movies. It's crazy. It's like it has this opening scene in the film where it makes no sense to the entire movie. It doesn't do anything. It's so bizarre. And it's basically about these 2 girls that are traveling and in Europe, and they get picked up by these dudes, and these guys are heading to a rave and shit like that. And of course they get to this rave and it's not happening. And so they end up in the woods and stuff. And of course, males being males, what are you going to do when you got 2 girls in the woods? You're just going to apparently try and rape them and do all sorts of nasty shit to them. So it turns into this total rape, fucking brutal, violent fest. It's just nasty. But then the movie switches again. And like these male dominant piece of shits, you know, as fucking, you know, the hunters, they become the hunted. And I'm not going to give it away, but like the whole third act is so fucking bizarre and crazy. It's awesome. And I think that was a fun ass movie, man. But I feel like I'm probably the only one that's going to watch it. So anyways, I thought I'd talk about it. But did you rewatch Inbred at all?
No.
Do you remember when that movie came out? And like
I remember it.
It had a lot of buzz, right? People.
I have it on DVD. I'm pretty sure, but
dude, it's still pretty fun, man. It's got a fun ass ending to it too and shit. So
dude, Tyler gave the Bunny Game a half star.
That movie is fucking
awful.
Terrible. It's terrible, man.
Yeah,
it's a feature-length Marilyn Manson music video.
Dude, I thought it was really good at first. Like,
yeah,
up until she gets kidnapped.
Yeah, if it was 15 minutes long, it would be good.
I was like, man, this is pretty good. And then after she gets kidnapped, it's so fucking boring.
Oh,
it's like
it's
not
hard
even
to watch,
like
man.
that. It's just what is going on here?
Yeah,
I'm not like this year is such a bell curve because I have some movies I know like I'm high on like for my like pretentious like ass scale 8+.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like plenty of movies like near that threshold. But I also have like 5-6 movies like 2 or less.
Wow. Yeah, I knew I wasn't even gonna bother with the Bunny Game.
The Bunny Game is not the worst. The Bunny Game is not the worst movie I've watched.
The most interesting thing about 2011, it's actually one of the worst. It might be the worst year in that decade. And it's still pretty good.
I could agree with that.
And there's a lot of movies from 2011 that are some of my personal favorites of like 2000 and forward.
Yeah.
It's weird. It has so many that I just love from this year. It's crazy. But yeah, no, I
rewatched Sleep Tight the other day, man. Dude, that movie still is fucking twisted as shit.
Yeah, I've been just kind of sitting on that one for a little bit.
I rewatched that last year, like knowing like, you know, I'm gonna rewatch this and then I'll just like watch it again before showtime. So
I rewatched
have, like a fresh compete.
Kick my ass.
I rewatched Exit Humanity. I hadn't seen that since it came out. I think it was like one of the Bloody Disgusting Selects.
Oh yeah.
That came out, and it's like, you know, it's set, you know, just after the Civil War and stuff like that, and it's actually really solid, man. For a low budget film to be doing a period piece like that, it's really tough to pull off because when you have no money and you got to, you know, deal with these costumes and these set pieces and shit like that, sometimes it doesn't come off looking very well. It's pretty muddy looking, but I really like that movie. Actually, it's pretty good. There's some good moments in it and shit. Man, I always like mixed bagging it up, man. I watch Camel Spiders, which is like a Jim Warnowski made for TV fucking killer spider film. Like it, you know what you're getting when you're watching Jim Warnowski films from this time period, because he was doing tons of cheesy ass TV sci-fi films and shit that were CG fests, and like it's so bad, it's hilarious to watch. Like I had such a good time with it. It's so funny, man. But I did rewatch Snowtown. And I've always talked about this film being a film that I feel like is such a misstep, because
Hardcore.
I love the idea. I love the true story of it. And I feel like it's just misdirected through the whole thing. They just don't do a good job of doing anything proper in this movie. It sucks. Like it's not even that boring. I just feel like it's misdirected from the first act right to the third act. There's a lot of nasty and grittiness to this film. We all know, if you know the story, and there's some nasty ass fucking brotherly rape, and there's nasty shit, but it doesn't work for me at all. I still can't get into Snowtown.
Yeah, I watched, that was one of the first movies I watched. I thought that would have had a chance to like make my top 10 just based on like the type of movies I like.
Yeah,
I
me
was
too.
really disappointed with it. It's like I didn't think it was a bad movie. I think I gave it a 6. But like I was hoping I was hoping it'd be one of those movies that like kind of has like a lower score and a bad reputation because it's too much for certain people, and like it was something I would have liked, and it just like I kind of felt
should have been that way for me, but it wasn't. I gave it an 8. It kicked my ass. I thought it was great. I don't know. It probably could make my list. And
I feel like it's definitely one of those movies where sometimes it works for people and sometimes it doesn't. I just this is the first time I've watched it since around the time it came out, because I've had the DVD forever. And when I first watched it, I was so disappointed with it, because like I was familiar with the story, and I just felt like it was just kind of misdirected a little bit. And like, I just feel like there's so much more in the narrative that it could have been exploited a lot better than it was. I feel like there's just parts in it where I'm just like, no, that's not working. Like the scene where the brother rapes, the other brother and shit. I'm just like, it to me, it feels like that's kind of thrown in out of the blue, but I mean, it's still relevant to what the narrative is and stuff like that. But it's awkwardly done. There's so many awkward things in that film that I just feel like are done poorly, but it's, it
because
is.
I didn't know about the actual story. It didn't, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's based off of like one of the most notorious Australian serial killers. Right. So, yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot more to the story that isn't there either, which kind of sucks, but the whole idea, what he was basically like this, anti-hero kind of thing. Like the focus at first was to kill basically rapists, right? And people like that.
Pedophiles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pedophiles.
So, pedophiles and shit like that. So
it got worse.
It just does. It spirals. But I do want to talk about Livid or Livide. I've seen titles of this movie with an E on the end before. So, or you can call it Livid, Livide. It's,
I think Livide's the French title.
Yeah. So it's from the same directors that did Inside. This was their follow-up film.
Don't spoil anything. I still haven't watched it.
Same, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll leave it for the show then. I was just going to because I know Dave Z will be listening to this, and he mentioned a couple times in the chat about how the ending of the movie doesn't make any sense. And I was going to explain it to him right now, why it makes complete sense. So are you the only one that hasn't seen the movie yet?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. So I was just going to go into the symbol or the symbolism of the moth, but I'll just leave it at that. So Dave, we'll get into that when we actually record the 2011 show.
I'm actually quite excited to see what people's lists are, because I feel like there's some diversity.
I think there's gonna be a lot of diversity.
Yeah, I was like,
especially because I said, I've been trying to just make sure I watch everything when someone gave 4 stars or better, and Dave has a lot of stuff rated 4 stars. So I have no idea.
Yeah, man, I was looking at his ratings. I was like, holy shit, man, that's a lot of fucking high ratings. It's crazy. But
I'd like to see it.
I've been kind of watching things in pairs. Like I rewatched Stripperland, which is basically just a spoof of Zombieland, and it's the same idea. It has a main character that has rules, but they're all set in about strippers, because strippers are basically the zombies in this. So it's playing it off like that, and it's not actually as goofy as you think it would be. There's some pretty funny moments in it. There's a pretty funny cameo from Lloyd Kaufman in the film, but the highlight cameo in this film is from Daniel Baldwin. He plays like this rapper, and he's like literally rapping out like these verses and shit. It's hilarious, man. It's so fucking funny, man. But it's basically Zombieland with strippers. It's exactly the same movie.
That's funny because they're the fucking Baldwin in Candyland.
Right. That's funny. That's true. And then I followed up with Juan of the Dead. I hadn't watched Juan of the Dead since pretty much it came out, and I honestly couldn't remember it much. And like my mind kept going back to the idea that it was really goofy and like super silly and shit, because I know it was done from the same people that were involved with like Shaun of the Dead and stuff. Obviously, it's a play on words with Juan of the Dead because this is like a Cuban zomcom, right? And it's not goofy. It's not even that goofy, dude. It's actually really fun, and it's got a lot of really clever jokes. There's this fucking hilarious blowjob joke in the film that it caught me off guard. I was pissing myself laughing, dude. I was like, so good. But yeah, Juan of the Dead is it's really fun, man. I recommend it, dude. If you're into like, you know, these kind of zomcom things and stuff. And I mean, I'm not recommending this to Dave Z because he would never watch it based on the title alone.
This is one of the
But
ones
have
I
you guys
got
ever
left.
seen Juan of the Dead?
Nah, this is
It's
on my
fun.
list.
I wasn't sure if I was
Yeah.
going to make it to it.
No,
But
this is on my definitely to see list. I've always been interested in this movie.
Yeah,
There's a
dude.
couple in here that like even though I didn't think they were like that great, I've always been like interested to see.
I think, man, I was going into it thinking, man, this movie's going to be so goofy and just kind of silly and shitty, but it's not, though. It's obviously a comedy, but it's got a lot of funny jokes in it, dude. It's pretty fun. So
Something I rewatched that everyone should watch. It's only like 25 minutes long. It's The Strange Thing About the Johnsons.
I really
Oh man, that shit is so funny.
dude, that shit is so disturbing.
Like, dude, I love the Ari Aster like motivational speaker, like little cassette, and it's him on it like smirking. And he's doing the voiceover. Oh, it's like,
Yeah. It's so fucked up, dude.
Dude, it's just like,
I was just giggling the whole. Imagine like he did that in like a film program. Imagine like making that and showing that to your classmates. Like, this is what I did.
I mean, if you want to get shock and awe out of people, man, you do that in film class. Like, fuck, you would never expect someone to do something like that and show it in that environment.
Dude, the sun is so good. I loved it.
dude, I mean, I can't, I'm not even watching that again.
I love it. I
was
think it's
too
really,
uncomfortable, bro.
I think it's really well done. Right from the opening scene,
Oh, it's
dude.
so good.
Put
It's
that
so
in your
well
little
done.
book, Dad.
It's like one of the. It's literally probably one of the best short films I've ever seen.
Yeah, me too, man. It's so good. Like, it's just something that gets buried in your mind too. Like, you cannot forget that.
I know it is burned in my mind,
Yeah.
so I don't need to rewatch it. Yeah, I typically don't watch shorts. I didn't realize that this Junior movie I had on my list was a short.
It's not. It's fine. It's not anything great.
Yeah, it's from the director of that
Raw
car.
and Raw and fuck. What was that movie called?
Started
Yeah,
with
it's all
T, right?
Titan.
Titan.
Yeah.
Hey, Titan.
Oh yeah. Everyone liked that movie, but me. I wasn't a huge fan.
I thought it was
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, I thought it was decent.
Yeah, it was on a lot of top 10 lists that year. But yeah, not for me. Not for me.
Dude, okay, so if we're moving on from 2011, I wanted to bring this up. So, dude, so I joined this Vinegar Syndrome group on Facebook, right?
Oh
Mm.
shit.
Because we did that show and it's I posted it in there to maybe get some new listeners or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to be I hate those people that just like join a group, like promote themselves and then never say anything in the group again.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to like be active in the group a little bit just to show like, hey, you know, I'm not a complete dickhead. And so I remember the other day when we were talking about J cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I joined this group. I was in this group and I posted a video of like talking about the
Saw
J
your
card.
post. Yeah.
This dude started roasting me for my fingernails. Bro.
Yeah, dude. I saw that, JP. Oh my god.
Your
He was
fingernails.
like-
What do you mean your
Yeah,
Dude,
fingernails?
let me read this comment, bro.
No, like
Dude,
like
hilarious.
for what the video?
Yeah, the video because I just had the camera pointed at the movie, and then like I was moving it around with my hands. So this guy says, "Listen to this shit, bro. Dude, I hate to be this guy, and I'm sorry. But please cut your nails for your sake and for the rest of the world."
Oh
I
my
barely
god.
saw the box at first. I was just gnashing my teeth in disgust. I'm not making judgments
Bruh.
on you as a person, but that's a red flag. It would suck for that to affect your daily life when it's easy to.
Dude, for real.
if you have some disability that prevents you from cutting your nails, I'm sorry. Maybe someone can help.
Wow.
Didn't you say it was like your coke nails or something?
Yeah, I was like, oh no, I need them for my coke. Dude, the funny thing about it though is like I know I have chronic like bite my nails syndrome like my whole entire life, and I've been trying to stop doing that. So I don't bite my nails anymore, but then they just grow because I forget to like clip them and stuff like that. And then like right now, but the real reason that I let them go so long is because it annoys Carly. And, and I literally just let them grow because like it's funny to me that she gets so pissed off.
Oh.
So, but like they're clean. So it's not like they were all gross or anything. They were just longer for.
Like,
man, that's
but
fucked.
This guy was so triggered by my nails that I'm just like, bro, get the fuck out of here. But the funny thing, I was gonna tell him, I was like, dude, since we're taking requests, can you like cut your hair and your like pedo mustache? Because like there's some red flags there, buddy.
Oh, really? He had the fucking party in the back with the pedo stash? Oh my god.
His hair's just really long and he has a straight like.
But I bet you had some fucking goddamn nice looking nails though.
Probably. But there was some other people that came in and was like, what's your problem, bro? Like, why are you like, maybe this guy just wants long nails.
That is some true internet shit right there, right? Like that guy would probably never say anything in real life, but then he's on the internet.
Right. Well, the thing is,
like,
I don't
cut your
give
fucking
a
nails.
fuck either. Like, I don't get like, bro, I've been being on YouTube for 10 years. Like, I've heard some nasty shit.
Oh, dude,
like,
you can't
you know what I
survive
mean?
that long without the thick skin, man. Like, I've heard everything too, man. Like, it's shit. I fucking smile. I'm just like, yeah, it's awesome, man.
Plus, like, I'm comfortable with who I am, and like, dude, like, I know they're long and kind of funny looking, but it's like I did it on purpose. So what the fuck, you know? Like, it's not. It would be different if it's something I couldn't change about myself. Like, he's like you're, you know, fucking nose is too long or something like that, you know. Like, but
right.
No, I just thought it was funny as shit. I'm like sitting there reading.
That guy did.
Why
That
am I
guy
getting
was
I was like, I'm getting attacked right now. This is
that guy went.
ridiculous. But everybody pretty much agreed with me about the J cards. Pretty much everybody.
So okay, so that's
Fucking
like a
J
card.
cards.
It's like a card that like the movie sits in.
Yeah. Like it's shaped like a J. That's what they call it.
It's like it's got the full back, and a lot of the times it'll have the features on it, and then it just kind of folds up the front. Yeah, the J card.
Yeah. Right. But the horrible thing about these cinematographer releases, somebody corrected me on that too.
Of course they did.
Tyler, say it. I know you know it.
Oh, cinematograph.
Cinematograph. There you go.
That's not even what the guy said it's called. He said it's cinematographer.
Cinematographer.
I just pronounce shit the way I want to say it. I don't give
Yeah,
a fuck.
you know, that guy's a fucking nerd.
Yeah. Grammar police, man. The grammar police are the fucking worst on the internet ever. Like, it's the most pretentious, useless shit ever to correct
something.
something.
I'm an ignorant American that can't pronounce the French word. Fucking sue me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember somebody one time said to me, they're like, I can't remember. It was like one of my videos. Maybe it was a comment on the podcast or whatever. And he's like, your pronunciation on this was blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I thought I did pretty good for English being my third language. He didn't know what to say, man. He's like, English is your third language? And I'm like, yeah, man. Like, fuck.
Well, dude, yeah, that's like when people criticize people who like are like, you know, maybe from another country, and then they come in, they're like, I wish they would fucking learn English. And you're like, bro, like, this person literally knows 2 languages, and you're sitting there talking shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, anyway, I got a lot of comments, like a ton of comments on there, and most people do not like the J cards, and these J cards in particular are kind of weak because they are where they're numbered. So they're numbered releases, and the individual number is on the fucking J card.
It's not on the actual
really
fucking case.
I didn't really open it and look, but I don't think it is, unless it's in 2 places. You know what I mean? But I doubt they did that.
I haven't got mine yet, so wow, that's weird. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's like how Powerhouse does like the indicator box sets and stuff. Like they're all hand numbered on those things, but they're not a J card. They're like an O card that goes around the box set.
Those ones are actually more practical though, because they like hold the thing together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, like just talking about the fact that they're hand numbered on those things. So if you do take them off, then you won't. I mean, if you care about those trivial things, but.
Well, the other thing I was going to say is, dude, the majority of this group, it's kind of fucking crazy. There's 11.9 thousand members in there, right? 11.9K, almost 12,000.
Okay, so it's this group. All right.
And the majority of the posts are just people selling their releases. Right. But the funny thing is, and I don't really understand it, is a lot of them are like brand new stuff. Like this one dude was selling like the Giallo Volume 6 box set, and I'm like,
he must have just got it 2 days ago. Yeah, like, but I mean, was it like at a total inflated price? Like, is he just reselling? Because I feel like
it was like $60.
Exactly. So he's reselling, and that's very typical of all these type of fucking labels now.
But isn't that less than what it cost?
$60? No, I think it's cheaper than that, isn't it? I have no idea.
If you're not a subscriber, it's 60, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, who knows? But I mean, which makes even less sense. I don't think
it's like resellers in terms of like people trying to profit off of the releases. I wonder what it is. Like, I was actually thinking about asking that group, because
he's probably a subscriber that's selling it because he doesn't want it.
That's what I
he could be a subscriber. Like, you get every title and then you sell off the ones that you don't want. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Like, it'd probably be worth my while. Like, if I just like
see, to me, that's just crazy talk, because like when they announce the Giallo box set, that's like the thing I'm looking forward to. But you got to remember, there's other people with different tastes, and it's not their cup of tea, right? So they don't. There's a lot of people that don't like Giallos, and I get it.
I might even sell them just because like I don't have any of the other ones, and it would just like blow. I couldn't deal with like Giallo.
That's what a lot of people are doing with those now. Yeah.
I just like I couldn't just have like Volume 6, and like if I can't get the original one, like how it would be, I just can't do it.
How far do they want to go with these? Dang,
dude,
that's actually like, dude, they've put them out fast too. What's it been 3 years, and they have 6 of them or something?
Giallos are there?
They probably
how many forgotten? The real question is, how many forgotten Giallos are
there? Well, yeah.
They probably bought like some giant lot of movies of just like nobody wanted to do, and all they do, and like they just restore them. They put a fancy package on. You're like, hell yeah.
I mean, some of the movies that they put in these box sets aren't like totally forgotten. Like, they're just movies that, I mean, I have a lot of them. You know, they're just getting their better releases and stuff. But some are like, you know, you're finding some shit that's pretty fucking rare. Cool. And which is cool. I'm kind of looking for that. Like, I have a lot of Giallos, so when they release these boxes, I'm looking for stuff that, you know, I mean, not always the ones that I've never seen or heard of or whatever. There is some ones that I do want to upgrade and things like that too. So it's, you know, it can be a mixed bag. But
have you seen the ones in?
I'm never disappointed.
Box set.
Sorry, what was that?
Have you seen the ones in this most recent box set?
I can't remember what's in them, but I do believe I have a couple of them, like on DVD and shit. So I think there was one in there I'd never even heard of.
Dude, I think out of all 6 box sets, there's only one film in all 6 of them that I had seen before.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Here, let me take a... You really got to go back, man. Okay, so Volume 6 has Death Carries a Cane. Oh yeah, Naked You Die is one I do have. It's an Antonio Margheriti film. It was released by Dark Sky Films on DVD first. It's a good one. Cool. Oh, and The Bloodstained Shadow. That's another one I actually have too, I think. That was released, I believe. That's an Antonio Beto film. I think it has an Anchor Bay release and a Blue Underground, which makes sense, right? Yeah, Death Carries a Cane is the one I did not know about. So it's Mauricio Prado? Doesn't even sound like it's I don't know if that's Italian. It says Italian in English. Oh shit. So I don't know. That's one I didn't know.
Cool.
So I'm looking forward to that. So, but yeah, the Antonio Margheriti film Naked You Die, it's a decent one. Yep.
Yeah.
Antonio Margheriti. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Dude, this blinking Vincent sign is dope.
Dude, I want it so bad. I didn't even know they were selling that until people started showing them off.
Man, there's only 44 left. I think.
Oh, really?
$145.
So the Vinegar Syndrome logo one, I know Tom Horsball, he picked up one of those. It's in his basement.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, I didn't even notice that these things were available. I was like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? I totally would have bought that.
It's so sexy.
But this Blinking Vincent, man, it's 200. Well, I think that's in Canadian dollars now. So it's like,
Yeah, they have a,
It's 145 American.
desk-sized one too.
That
One's sold out. Damn.
Oh, I love these fucking, I love LED, these type of flashing lights and shit, man. It's awesome. I always think of Big Daddy when he's got the live nude sign for the kid.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking of that too, man.
It's so good.
Oh, a newspaper.
Yeah.
Those things are cool though.
Good old Vinegar Syndrome. Yeah. But yeah, so episode 252. The fuck were we talking about here? So like I usually like
we got sidetracked by the fingernail story.
Oh yeah, the fingernail. He had to bring it up, man. He had to bring it up.
Dude, it was ridiculous. I'm just getting bullied about my fingernails. I was like, dude, what the hell? I thought everything was supposed to be like all politically correct now, and like people can be like.
I think people are getting past all that shit now.
Yeah, I think people are so sick of it. They're like, hey.
And I'm like, the first time I'm like getting bullied over here, like because my fingernails are long. Like, I'm like, this is bullshit. Like I missed out on like all the like, you know, you can't comment on someone's appearance and stuff or you're a bigot type shit. I missed all that. Like I never got the benefit from it.
All right. So since we're doing a Canucksploitation show and I like to do these lists because they're always fun to talk about and stuff like that, I thought maybe I would do a quick little Google search and it said best Canadian horror films. Because if you type in the word Canucksploitation, it basically just comes up with the Canucksploitation website. There's like no list or whatever. So what I wanted to do here was I know that the Toronto Film School blog here is obviously written by a Canadian, and then there is another list done by Dread Central, which is more recent. I was hoping Bloody Disgusting was going to come up, but I think the last one they did was like in 17 or 16 or something like that, and it's a little bit outdated. So I was figuring I would talk about the Toronto Film School one, which says the 10 best Canadian horror films of all time ranked, whatever that means. And then there's one by Dread Central, which is called Oh Canada, 13 best Canadian horror films. So nice little comparative contrast piece between Canadian writers and American writers, and we'll see how this goes. I have not clicked on these yet. I just know that one's Canadian, one's American. Are you guys cool with this?
Yeah.
Sure.
Fire it off.
All right. So the 10 best Canadian horror films, movies of all time ranked by TFS, Toronto Film School. All right. So, oh, fuck. They have it at like, here, I'll start at the bottom. That's stupid. So number 10 is Infinity Pool. Wow. Okay. Number 9 is Pontypool. Interesting.
A lot of polls.
A lot of pools, yeah. Number 8 is Ravenous from 2017, which is also known as Les Ephemes.
What's Ravenous?
It's a French Canadian film.
Ravenous is a 99 movie too.
Yeah. We know that one with Guy Pearce, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's great.
So this is the English title for this one actually is Ravenous from 2000. I'm not sure if I saw this one or not. It seems familiar,
I don't think I did.
I feel like I've seen it. It sounds so familiar.
You know, I have seen this on lots of lists in the past, and I don't know if it has a release or like what the deal is with it, but it's a French Canadian film, so I mean it could be good. I mean, it's got to be decent.
Like, was this a Shudder release? Or no, it was on Netflix.
So it says Ravenous is a survival horror film that offers viewers a one-of-a-kind commentary on colonialism. Set in a post-apocalyptic landscape, the film follows a group of strangers who must fight for their lives against an unknown monster-like enemy. Its approach to horror is both cerebral and visceral, making it a standout entry in Canadian cinema, especially for those interested in films that offer more than just scares. Okay. So that sounds pretty cool. So French-Canadian, got to read it. Number 7 is The House by the Lake from 1976, which I believe is a film that made some of our top 10 lists.
The House by the Lake.
It's like a rape revenge film.
Whoa.
Wow, it apparently said it was remade in
Death Weekend.
Yeah, or Death Weekend, yeah.
Okay.
It said it was apparently remade in 2017. Really? Yeah, because this is like...
Is it called Ravenous?
It's an early William Freud film, and everybody knows where I get my name from. It's my dad.
Your dad?
It's my dad. But apparently it was remade in 2017. What the fuck? Okay, I did not know that. Number 6 is The Chainling from 1980. That, of course, has got to make an appearance on the list. Number 5 is, holy fuck, Skinamarink from 2022.
This is an interesting list.
Yeah,
this is not, honestly, this isn't a bad list so far.
Number 4 is Bloody Valentine from 81. Number 3 is Videodrome from 83. Number 2 is Ginger Snaps from 2001. And of course, number 1 is Black Christmas from 1974. So, I mean, to be honest, I can't really argue with the quality of the films on the list. I mean, it's something I wouldn't, me, I hate best lists anyways. They don't make any fucking sense to me, especially when you see Skinamarink as best on there. But that's just my opinion. I don't think it belongs there, to be honest, but yeah, that's just me. Okay, so Dread Central's list, the best 13 list. So I'm assuming this is probably backwards also. Okay, so we'll start at the bottom. The Mask from 1961.
Okay, I found this on the web for Search the Bottom map. Check it out.
Really?
What the fuck was that?
That was fucking Siri. Did I say Siri? That's what I'm talking. I have my phone right next to my fucking microphone here. Okay. So The Mask from 1961. That's cool. That's a fun film. These aren't numbered, so I'm just going to name the films. American Mary from 2012. I'm surprised that one wasn't on the other one. The Brood from 1979. Some more Cronenbergs. Skinamarink from 2023. They got the year on this one. All right. The Changeling from 1980. Blood Quantum from 2019. Now, this was kind of an interesting film from 19 because of the commentary that it had about Indigenous people in Canada and stuff like that. I think I was on Mike's show. We did a review of this. I think me and Heather were on here. They had us on because we were Canadian. We were talking about the Canadian politics of this and stuff. So I think it was done pretty well. If you know about that stuff.
It was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, so if you know about that type of stuff, it works. It works. A Violation from 2020. Did you guys see this one?
No.
Violation from 2020.
I saw this one.
Turns out my memory is shit dog.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out.
Yeah. I think this one was on Shudder. I think it was on.
Wait, is this the two girls go out to the lesbian couple?
No, it's not that one.
Oh,
that's what keeps you alive.
Oh,
no, it's not that. This one does take place it says Canadian Cottage. It's out the East Coast. I
feel like I've seen this one.
In the East Coast, they call cabins cottages. Now in the West, we call them cabins. It's so funny. Anyways, Violation, I believe, was like a Shudder. It was on Shudder. I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was. Ginger Snaps from 2000. My Bloody Valentine from 1981. Beyond the Black Rainbow from 2010. Have you guys ever seen this one?
Yeah, I've seen this one.
I have seen Violation, by the way.
Yeah. You looked on your Letterboxd?
Yep.
Yeah. I figured so because it was on Shudder. I'm pretty sure. And it was, part of 2020. Shudder was pretty good back in those days. I remember the film being pretty good.
Yeah.
Beyond the Black Rainbow, I think is just a total fucking mind trip. From what I remember. Kathy's Curse from 1977. Really?
Dude, what the fuck?
It's a total fucking Exorcist ripoff. That's hilarious. And that movie was actually put out by Synapse. It's got a nice little Blu-ray release.
I have it.
Possessor from 2021. Some Baby Cronenberg. And then Black Christmas. It says from 1975. I don't think that year is right.
74, I think.
Yeah, so it should be 74. So anyways, that's what those two...
honestly, those are kind of bad lists.
Yeah.
I don't like all the modern titles.
Yeah, where's Happy Birthday to Me? Where's My Bloody Valentine? Where's fucking Prom Night?
My Bloody Valentine.
Like what Cronenberg movies count?
Yeah,
Right,
and that's the
too.
weird thing. I think this
Shivers, like his earlier ones count.
Yeah, like
Shivers and Rabid.
maybe they just wanted one per director, but like based on that list, like all those movies, I think would make it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what the fuck? Oh, this thing's being a piece of shit. All right,
Pontypool was a good one because that one really does feel very like Canadian produced and released and stuff like that, for a modern one. But some of the other ones are like, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. And that's the problem with making a list of best films. Like you end up with shit like that.
Right. Cube. What about Cube? Like that. Cube is such a Canadian, like,
yeah. And that's a great example of
film.
That's a great example of a film that's not on there. I have seen lists before where Prom Night's on there, and I've even seen lists with Deranged, the Ed Gein film.
Yeah.
So there's lots of films. I mean, really, like how many Cronenberg films did we come across in there? Like The Fly wasn't even mentioned.
Yeah.
Right. Videodrome, like The Fly, Videodrome. I mean, I think
those have American actors, so I don't know.
Shivers.
Yeah, those might have been American produced.
Yeah, so like I don't know which Cronenbergs count.
No,
Ginger Snaps. That's another like Canadian.
That was on the first list.
It was mentioned. I'm pretty sure that those Cronenberg productions are Canadian production. Maybe not The Fly. I'm not 100% sure, but his earlier work is all Canadian produced.
Yeah.
Yeah. So The Fly is 86, and that's about what 6 or 7 films into his run. So
maybe The Brood's the cutoff point.
Yeah.
I would personally.
Well, no, because The Brood is made before Videodrome, and that's still considered Canadian.
Oh, so Videodrome I think is his best movie.
Oh, fuck. It's still so relevant, right? It's crazy.
Videodrome's so good.
But then I look at these lists and I'm like, there's so many Canadian films that like are maybe not seen as much and just aren't thought of, like even the movie Rituals. It's kind of like Deliverance in a sense. It's kind of got the same idea. It's like a Canadian version of it, but it's really good. I mean, I'm not expecting to see too many Ryan Nicholson films based on a list that says best of all time. But, for me, it's something like Gutterballs is something I personally love. If I was to make my personal favorite list or whatever, I'm sure that Gutterballs is going to make it somewhere on that list. But that's just me. And it's JP's favorite killer of all time.
Dude.
I know The Changeling was a Canadian movie. I like that movie a lot.
Yeah.
What about Hemoglobin?
Hemoglobin.
1997.
I don't know what that is.
The Bleeders.
Yeah. Where's all the Astron 6 stuff, man? Come on.
Yeah.
Where's Father's
Day?
Where's
Isn't the Gate fucking Canadian, dude?
Yeah, the Gate is Canadian, yeah.
That's a fucking classic right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's like the fact
there's
that
so many
Cube wasn't mentioned. The Cube wasn't mentioned. That's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like Cube is like a great like example of like a Canadian film, like produced in Canada by a Canadian director, fucking financed Canadianly.
Oh, here we go, man. So I just clicked on Nightmare on Film Street, the website, and quick little list. It says Black Christmas, Ginger Snaps, Pontypool, The Changeling, Cube from 1997, Grave Encounters from 2011.
Yep, another good one.
Antiviral from 2012. So the other Cronenberg movie that hasn't been mentioned. Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. So this one's like way out there.
Visiting Hours is another one I was thinking of.
Visiting Hours is a cool movie.
Right. So Dead Ringers from 1988, and that's Daddy Cronenberg. So I'm pretty sure all of his films are Canadian based, but anyways, My Bloody Valentine 81. So that one's a little bit different for top 10 movies. So
yeah,
but there's such a wide range of films. It's just fuck. Like Ranker. I'm actually laughing at this because I see one title on here, and I was just talking. So Black Christmas, Ginger Snaps, My Bloody Valentine, The Changeling. This also Psycho Gorman. Made it on
yeah.
Yeah.
The Brood,
that's a good one.
Videodrome, Possessor, Dead Ringers, so Skinamarink. Oh, that's interesting. So that's a lot of Cronenberg on there. But yeah.
This guy just left a comment on that post in the Vinegar Syndrome group like literally just now, 1 minute ago. It's a picture of Coffin Joe, bro. His long ass nails.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Freaking funny, bro.
Classic.
Dude, that's
good shit.
This
Good
is
shit.
brutal.
Okay, so anyways, that is, I guess, multiple lists of top 10 Canadian horror films, I guess. Whatever. Take that shit with a grain of salt. I gotta look into that movie Ravenous, man. I'm not 100% sure if I've seen it or not. Because if I did see it back in 17, I mean, that's what, 7 years ago. So, and like JP said, his memory is faltering. I'm just getting old, so mine sucks.
yeah.
But I don't know. I've seen Backcountry on a lot of lists too. Do you guys see Backcountry? It's that
The
one
bear
where
movie.
the bear movie.
Yeah.
I've seen that one on a bunch of lists in the past before too. It's kind of a scary idea to get stalked and get all fucked up by a wild bear. I mean, most bears are fucking wild. What am I talking about? By a wild bear.
Wild bear.
Yeah, you know, because most people just domesticize fucking bears. Yeah. Anyways, you guys got anything else for the intro? Anything else you want to
no.
bring up? You
Think
got
that's
no more
good.
comments about your Coffin Joe nails?
Bro. I've been bullied.
I thought we were past this whole internet bullying shit, man. Like, Jesus. I guess not, man. It's starting up in full force again.
I guess so.
Wow,
We can
that's
talk
mean.
about it.
That's just fucking mean. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
He just
But I will say, pretty damn funny. You said Coffin Joe nails, man.
Yeah, you're right. It is all right on the J card. That's fucking so annoying.
Yep. Told you, bro.
Ish.
Right on the damn J card. Those nails aren't that bad, right, Tyler?
No, they're nothing I would have like noticed or been like, That guy
I know
just-
that's the big thing. I was like, who the fuck even notices something like that?
Yeah, they're not like enough. I would have wrote a fucking essay.
Yeah.
So we have okay, so next show is 2011. Cool.
Yep,
All
we
right.
talked about that. So broke down some Canadian lists. Talked about. Yeah, I think that's it. So without further ado, we might as well end the intro here, and then we're going to get into these Canadian slasher films when we come back here in a brief moment. Yo, who this?
Yo, Moodz, it's your boy, the ill-mannered funky child, calling you to remind you that the featured reviews on this episode contain spoilers.
Aw, yeah, man, that's right, brother. Thanks for the heads up, playa. Now go back to being an unproductive asshole.
Fuck you. I tell your listeners to stop being so dumb, silly, sensitive.
Yeah.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, so getting into the featured reviews here on episode 252, Canucksploitation Volume 1. Yeah. All right, so we're going to start off with a film from the glorious year of 1981, one of my all-time favorite years, and from a director that is not known for directing horror films, but more kind of a journeyman director who worked in all sorts of other genre films. He's mostly probably noted for working with Charles Bronson. I think 11 or 12 movies he did with Bronson. And that's J. Lee Thompson. And the movie we're talking about is Happy Birthday to Me. With the iconic artwork, the shish kebab.
Kebab.
Yeah, I gotta love that shit, actually. Actually just got this. The wife actually bought me this shirt for Christmas. So I actually have this. I'm not actually wearing it right now. I'm oddly enough wearing a Terra Firma shirt. Go figure, right? I'm wearing a Trauma shirt.
In the movie.
But yeah, J. Lee Thompson, man, not known for directing horror films. It's just such a weird thing because like he'd been directing movies at this point for like 30 years. Never directed a horror film.
Yeah, he directed Cape Fear, the 62 version.
I mean, it's more of a thriller. You know, it's not a straight up horror film, I would say. But you know, it is interesting, right? Because
I probably shouldn't put it on my list.
you think so?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's been years since I've seen the original Cape. I just, you know, I kind of associate Cape Fear with the remake a lot more.
Yeah.
Um,
The remake is I think the remake you might consider a horror movie, but I wouldn't like. I don't know if I for sure would. It'd be like fine.
Well, in 94, you probably would because there's not a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, Robert De Niro is so scary in that movie. Like, it comes off as, and it's shot.
Yeah, like,
it made
I was gonna
violence.
say, like, that one's like presents itself more of a horror movie than the original one does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been so long since I've seen the original film, but from what I remember, I'm just not thinking horror. But
This
yeah, like,
Thompson guy was also a dialogue coach for Alfred Hitchcock.
I mean,
That's
he
cool.
did do Eye of the Devil in '66, which is, I mean, I guess you can consider that to be kind of a horror film, I guess. So, you know, I mean, I would consider that movie to be a horror film, right? Eye of the
Yeah, I
Devil?
think it is.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, I mean, I guess he kind of dabbled in that before, but he was all over the place, man. He was doing Planet of the Apes movies. He was doing, comedies. He was doing, action movies and stuff. And then when he discovered Bronson, that's when his career just went crazy. But anyways, like this is more of the latter part of his career because he directed movies up until 1989 and pretty much through the 80s was all him and Bronson. So this one is kind of towards the end of his career. And I'm assuming this was like a paycheck movie because I can't imagine like you've been directing movies for over 30 years and you're like, hey, I want to do a slasher film. It just doesn't seem like it's something that you would be setting out to do at this point in your career. But who knows? Maybe you just wanted to switch up after doing Cabo Blanco, which is the oddest fucking Charles Bronson movie ever made. Like, it's just so not Bronson. But we're not here to talk about Charles Bronson. We're here to talk about Happy Birthday to Me. And have you guys all seen this movie before?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is all a rewatch for everybody. Okay. All right. So quick little synopsis on the movie. At the snobby Crawford Academy, Virginia's group of friends start to go missing years after horrible events that happened to her as a child around her birthday. All right, so let's start with Mason. I know Mason's a big slasher fan. What are your thoughts on Happy Birthday to Me?
So this is my second time watching the movie. The first time I really liked it, and it went a little over my head. The ending is kind of weird and what the fuck. I would call it a slasher. I'm definitely a slasher fan, but it's a little more of a thriller. It's kind of too long, but the weirdness really makes up for it. I would consider it one of the better 80s slashers. It's just a weird movie with a really great cast and great performances and a great story behind its production.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I'm 100% sure or if I can even remember like the production, the story behind the production and stuff, but I'm interested to hear about it though.
I like the main girl is Melissa Sue Anderson from Little House on the Prairie.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted to do more horror movies, so I thought this was an interesting role for her to choose. She did
So
really
how
well.
do you go from Little House on the Prairie to like
John-
wanting to do more horror films? Because I guess you're going from one side of the spectrum to the other, right? Like that,
Yeah,
you
she
couldn't get any
probably
more
wanted
polar
to-
opposites.
She's trying to break from the
Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite fucking McLovin curse.
Yeah. If you do like a horror movie too, like people like aren't gonna see you like on like I assume like some like sweet little girl character or something.
Right.
It's like a good
So
way
what
to
were you
go.
saying about the production? What was interesting about that?
Besides like the whole cast and how that came together, and I liked the makeup artist, because I think that's one of the things that stood out the most about the film is the deaths and the makeup of all the dead bodies. The makeup artist also did The Island of Dr. Moreau and Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which was talked about. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
And
it's got Glenn Ford in it too, which is another pretty big name. I mean,
Yeah.
you're familiar with that. He's in a ton of shit. I mean, I'm not going to go through everything. I mean, he was in Superman and stuff like that. But like, it's just, I don't know if it was one of those fads that people were jumping on, like, oh, the slasher films are getting huge, and like they were purposely going out and grabbing these big name actors to kind of sell their films and stuff like that. But it just seems like these people would show up every once in a while in these films, and you're like, it's just odd. But I like it though. You watch these movies all these years later, and you're like, that's really cool that these guys did these type of movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. This is a slasher to me that's like, first of all, it's a holiday slasher technically with the birthday theme, which is cool. Two, I think that this one, like most slashers don't really try to have like a big story, but this one has like a pretty deep story. It's so weird that this one runs so long though, because when do you get a slasher that's this long? What is it? How long is this? Like an hour,
It's
15 minutes or something?
hour 51.
50.
It's pushing 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's crazy to me to have a 1981 slasher that's that long. But I actually find it like pretty enjoyable. Like even like the downtime, like I kind of think that the characters work, and like I'm kind of interested in this little friend group and stuff like that. And
well, I agree with this because it's actually one of my main points of this movie. It's like it's not your it's not what slasher films became. They became so cliche in the fact that every slasher film had to have like that jock and that asshole and that bimbo and that slut. This movie seems to have a very cohesive cast of like characters that are on the same kind of playing field. But you also, one thing you like that you notice about the characters is that they're so close knit and they all do everything together and they're not like ripping on each other.
It feels like My Bloody Valentine. Like
it does. It feels
the compliments we give that film, like how it really feels like they're a community that like all work at this
like
mind.
They feel like they're true friends. They're not just a collection of friends that are forced together by relationships and stuff. And we get that a lot in slasher films where the jock is dating the stupid bitch that everyone hates and stuff like that, right? And it creates this kind of like this collection of characters that are kind of unlikable, right? Because they're bickering and they're doing these things and stuff. But I don't know if it has
people that feel like they wouldn't be friends in real life.
right. Where these characters totally feel like they're actually bonded by friendship for like a long time and things like that. And I don't know if it has something to do with just the way Canadians are and stuff. I have no idea. But why?
Like Canadians direct, like you guys are
we're just really nice people, I guess. But it's funny because the direct comparison is my Bloody Valentine, and it has very similar type characters where everyone's so likable. Like you don't really want these people to be dying and shit. It's kind of funny, like so. Yeah. Which I think it really works for a slasher film. If you can create characters in the slasher film that you really like, I think the death scenes are so much more effective in that aspect too, right? And it's
also just the downtime
became so cliche.
Everything's the downtime isn't as painful too, right?
Like I never felt like this movie was boring. Like maybe it was a little long, but like it wasn't like ever dragging. The pacing is fine in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what separates this one from a lot is going back to what JP said. And I'm glad he brought it up about the narrative and like really trying to go into depth about, the psyche of our lead character and the traumas that she's endured in her life with her mom dying and like her, having like going into a coma and being kind of a guinea pig with, these experiments and stuff and like how her memories coming back and stuff like that. And it plays into the narrative quite a whole, like really, really well.
Yeah.
Like really,
I liked all the flashback stuff. It like kind of made it had like opposite storylines running, so it like gave a chance to break up. Like all the characters are really distinguished too. Where sometimes when you get big casts like that, like not everybody's fleshed out the same. Mm-hmm. And it kind of feels uneven. Where like you guys are saying, does it like that's like a strength of this movie compared to a lot of others.
I think this one suffers from a lot of films from this time period when it comes to like the edits and the cuts and shit, because like you can tell that this movie has been chopped to shit. And I don't know if
it actually got an X rating when they first submitted it.
Yeah.
So they had to cut more shit.
Because for a fact, like, the weightlifting death is expanded on it. You can just tell the jump cuts in this.
That was
it's kind of a shame.
Death.
Yeah, there's some good kills in this movie. Like even the shish kebab one's iconic, and that the weightlifting ones are always good and stuff. But like
the weightlifting one was so good.
The one that bugs me in this film, because I swear to God, watching this movie on VHS back in the day, that scene I remember being longer was the motorbike kill, where he gets a scarf and he gets his face all gnarled up and shit. I swear that was extended in the VHS. And actually, one thing I have to notice too, watching this movie growing up on VHS, the soundtrack was different. And now I think all the releases after the fact, now someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't really looked in too much into this. It's just I'm serving this through my memory. But I swear the music is different in those VHS releases than it is to like the DVD and Blu-ray releases when it comes to like the disco music. There's a couple scenes in this film where they're playing disco. I swear that is not correct.
You are right. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but I know that there's like some. I remember because this was something people talked about. Like don't buy this version. Like when I was in the early collecting days. Like,
but I don't think there's any release that has the original.
I don't know what it is, I have
two DVD releases. I have two Blu-ray releases, and they all have the fucking disco music in them. And I'm like, how many releases can I have that don't have the original music?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I know there is like a music, and people would say like that's something people. I think the VHS
version you were watching is the non-original music.
What do you mean?
Because it says here that in 2004, Sony released the film
How could the VHS not be the original music? You think that would be the because
you would think so, but the way you're saying it is that none of these versions that you're watching is the original music. But I assume you watched the 2012 Mill Creek DVD Blu-ray.
Yeah, I did watch that Blu-ray. Yeah,
okay,
and I do have
the original music.
Okay, that's fucked up, man. Because so I'm remembering the VHS one that totally doesn't have the disco in it. Then
yeah, like so I'm thinking that there was a VHS edition that had the different music. Because here's what it says: Sony Pictures released the DVD in 2004 that had the non-original music. Then in 2009, Anchor Bay released it on DVD with the original music. Then in 2012, it was Mill Creek with the original music. And
okay, so the Anchor Bay DVD has the same music as this Mill Creek one. So then I have that DVD too. What the fuck? I'm so confused.
Yeah.
I have the Blu-ray that like looks like it's a VHS tape.
Now I know that there's a UK Blu-ray too. I think it was put out by was it Powerhouse? I think they put it out. Indicator put it out, and I'm pretty fucking sure that it's the exact same release as the Mill Creek one. So that one would have also this disco music on it then too. So what you're saying is the disco is the original? Isn't that fucked up? How your memory, like I'm thinking watching the VHS back in the day would be the original since it was the original releases. Because there was no DVD and Blu-ray back then. So like that's fucking with my mind right now. Crazy. So it's actually different. Oh, wow. So wow.
Yes, that's the only thing I could think is whatever VHS version you watched, because I'm sure there was multiple maybe because a lot of times these films got released a few times.
I would have been watching probably a Canadian home version release. Right. And it might have varied and been different to the American release, which was the fact with a lot of these films. They were kind of different, right?
So the Blu-ray, the Mill Creek double feature with When a Stranger Calls, dude, the transfer is actually like really solid on that release.
I had that one. I actually gave it to my buddy when I picked up just the Mill Creek solo one with the slipcover.
It's the same transfer. So
yeah, it's the same release, but I wanted to, with the iconic kind of VHS cover with the thing on it. Actually, it's funny when you take off the slipcover, it's got that really ugly, nasty artwork underneath. It's so ugly.
But did you think the transfer was like pretty good for like an old Mill Creek DVD?
For sure.
Blu-ray, I mean,
yeah.
I was like, wow, this actually looks really solid.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. But I would really like
was pretty nice.
I would really like to see this movie fully uncut though, because you can just tell that there's a lot of cuts in this and a lot of those kill scenes and stuff.
Yeah, which probably the footage probably does not exist anymore.
That's the problem with a lot of these early slashers. I mean, it's everybody knows the story with the Friday the 13th films. A lot of them got cut and that was it.
Yeah, there was no reason to save the footage. No. Like they didn't know that there would be like a home video market.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they they have the footage on certain releases of like My Bloody Valentine so they could restore that shit into fully uncut because that movie's like night and day. When you watch that shit cut to uncut, it's two different movies, man.
Dude, it's literally like it goes from like a 7 to a 9.
It's fucking great. There's whole scenes that are cut out. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Of like gore and shit. It's crazy. Yeah. So but yeah, like
so the only thing, okay, let's talk about the plot a little bit. Like, I actually really love like the whole like lost memory and it like slowly coming back to her and then sort of spoon feeding you not spoon feeding, but slowly feeding you the story of like what's going on. The only thing that's kind of weird to me is like why none of the friends seem to know that her mom like died on that bridge.
That's kind of like just a suspend your disbelief thing, I think, for like the sake of the plot. Like it is what it is, and it's like
I think
I guess the one aspect of it is like if they weren't friends with her.
Well, I don't think it's that they don't know. I think they just don't really point it out because they had to have known, right? Because you're not going to have some type of crazy disaster happen and not know that your friend mom fucking perished in an accident like when you're
at the same time they didn't really know her, like they weren't friends with her back then, right? Like they were probably in their own little world. Well, but I just think like in the town you would be like, oh, crazy accident happened.
That's a decent setup though too, because they do go into that fact of like when they show the mom all freaking out and like, where are your friends? And they're like, oh, they all went to a different party. And that's kind of what leads into her
the
mother's
mom
death and
actually
stuff.
did really good in there.
Oh,
and
her mom's a
I
bitch
sort
in
of
this,
like the whole like social economic aspect of the rich kids versus the non-rich kids and stuff like that. That is a cool idea to, that's what kind of elevates it from like your bland regular slasher to like actually having some like ideas. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This movie right here it focuses a lot on narrative and stuff, which I think is also a product of somebody like, G. Lee Thompson's background, where he didn't, he did a lot of movies with a lot of narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you might as well create something that is going to be a little.
Had 4 writers on it.
Yeah, it has a little bit different, right? I mean, he obviously has some input, maybe not with the actual story, but maybe the way it goes and things like that. But it's just done a lot different. Like a lot of slasher films from this period don't try to elaborate on full on backstories and get into like social commentary about mental health issues and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. And I think this one does it pretty well for what it is. It's pretty much a 2-hour slasher film. It doesn't have the highest of body counts. It does have some memorable kills in it.
Well, that's actually one of my complaints is there's a group of 10 people.
Yeah.
And like a couple of them just disappear and don't die.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a weird film where there's so much runtime and the body count is essentially pretty low for what it is. I mean, we've seen slasher films that are 85 minutes with double or triple the body count in it, right? Mm-hmm. So, but this one isn't, to me, it's not that typical body count slasher film. This one's relying on narrative, and it's relying on the buildup to give you a twist. Not once, not twice.
That end scene is
not
actually
3 times.
Pretty damn creepy. Like just the way that they're all like at the table.
I always
stuff.
I always wondered, like, with the writers, if it's full intention to just keep dropping fucking like twists. Like there's like 3 twists or 4 twists in the end of this film. It's crazy. Like there's a reveal, and then there's like a twist, and then there's like a part of the, and then it's just, it keeps going.
And then there's a final stinger at the like.
Yeah, and then there's like a stinger after this fucking, this story behind who the killer, and then like fuck, it just keeps going and going and going. It's like. It's almost too much to handle in the last like 15 minutes.
No, I remember the first time I watched this shit, I was so fucking lost. I was like, what happened?
No, what the crazy
that, like,
I actually really like the setup in this film where the scene with the shish kebab, because the whole movie is POV killing, right? And it's too obvious to be who you think it is. So like you're just like,
hey, it's you.
Because they're telling you like this, our lead character, she's got some mental issues. She was a guinea pig, blah, blah, blah. And like, it's like, it fucking can't be her. But then you get the scene where dude gets killed with a shish kebab and it's fucking her. You're like, oh, fuck, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, you like totally didn't expect them to
right. And then it's like a total like, whoa, what just happened? But then you're thinking to yourself, I mean, if you're a slasher fan, like you're thinking like, this reveal seems a little bit too early, and then it just keeps going crazier and crazier from there and stuff like that. So I think they do a pretty good job in this film with kind of, throwing out all these ridiculous red herrings and shit, like with the head on the table and, like the dude. And
some
like,
of it is a bit iffy though. Like when he's like, Jenny, I have a knife. Like, I'm like, what? Who talks like that?
No, yeah. I mean, that whole scene right there, and same with like the bell tower scene and stuff like that. Like that whole kind of scene is
that was kind of like what
like the buddy disappears after, but he just disappeared because he like cut his hand on the knife and so like the way they do it and stuff, it's like it's quite obvious what didn't happen in that part. It's like so it kind of.
I think this kind of does have an unsolvable ending too, though.
Yeah,
well,
I really like the look of the ending. Like, I love the birthday table scene and stuff where all the products are there and stuff, and I think it's pretty interesting. But like, the one thing I can't get over like is it always makes me wonder like how the killer did just the makeup or like design this face. Like, how did she pull it off?
It wasn't her.
Believe it for the movie.
The other guy, right? The guy that does the makeup effects.
Yeah, it was that guy.
So real. Like it's like insane.
Oh, dude, it's
ridiculous.
It's
it's
completely
like beyond ridiculous.
Bullshit.
Like
that's what I mean. Like, bro, like that's a cheat. No one could have guessed that.
But I love that. This movie always kills me because you get that reveal, and then it takes it one step further, and they have this whole explanation what her motivation was for doing what she was doing,
which is very Scream-like.
It's so crazy to have this huge story, and then it's like this huge bomb drop on her, and she's like, "What the fuck?" My dad was like, "What the fuck is this about?" And like, obviously, it's like this huge, massive explanation, and then she gets fucked in the end.
Yeah.
Oh, super fucked.
Dude,
what were you gonna say, Mason?
The first twist when the sister is, supposedly the killer, that was like decided mid-production based on literally like a face that she made during a scene, like a reaction. And the director was like, I like that face you made. I think that I want you to be the killer. I think that I want this to be the twist.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, dude. It was
we just add 20 minutes.
So what were they originally going to go with? Were they actually going to have the main character as the killer?
Yeah.
Oh, so they were just going to make it so obvious it wasn't obvious until it was obvious.
It was like, well, I like this idea better. I like this actress, so I want to do this little twist. Yeah.
Like, I'm glad that they didn't go with the main character as the killer, because like it just seems too.
Well, whenever the shish kebab thing that's the first twist.
No, actually, that's what I'm saying. You're like, holy shit, dude, that's crazy, because you're not thinking it's her. It can't be fucking her.
Yeah, right.
They're not going to play off this whole mental angle and then have her being. That would be fucking stupid.
And when would you like ever see them just like in the like not even at the end of the movie just like show you who the killer? It was like mind blowing. I remember when I first watched this, I was like mind blown. I was like, what? They're revealing the killer already?
Yeah. One thing they do in this movie that became, it was probably pretty cliche in 81 too. I remember hearing this line in a lot of slasher films, especially after this too, but was, like when you get those POV scenes and someone's doing whatever they're doing, they get, oh, it's you. Who talks like that? Like if JP walked into a room, I wouldn't be like, oh, it's you. I wouldn't say that to you. Be like, hey, what's up, Mexican?
Like I would Friday use the 13th too, right?
Right? Like nobody says, oh, it's you. It became
what are you doing out in this storm?
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. You.
Oh, it's you. Fuck, they say that like 4 times in this movie at least, man. It's funny.
Plus, if it was
say it like
Ginny,
literally every time before someone,
if it was Ginny, dude, that would be like kind of weird because to be like lifted, like having Ginny spot you.
Right. That's a brutal kill, man. She drops the fucking weight on his nuts.
Yeah. That was my favorite kill.
Yeah. Well, that one has like the best suspense too.
Yeah.
But dude, how about the dirt bike kill is literally Pet Sematary 2.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of
with the scarf and everything.
It's lifted right from there. I know. I've thought of that before.
Well, yeah, Pet Sematary 2 lifted this.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good, dude. It's definitely one of my favorite
and
standalone slashers.
Like what I remember, man, is like that one being a lot more extended too. Like in the VHS, I swear. I don't know why it just seemed like it was longer to me, but I swear it was. But maybe they just don't restore these things because like the only elements they have is like just tape elements now. I don't know.
Yeah.
No idea. But maybe I'm thinking of something else because that kill's been done many, many times over the years.
Well, we haven't had like one of the big companies like put this out, like Scream Factory.
Yeah.
Like we've only had like Mill Creek.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I can't complain. I mean, at least the transfer is not fucking ass cheeks. It looks good.
The transfer is good. Yeah. I just have I think it was like $7 and that's why I bought it like forever ago, but it's got like the slip cover on it. It looks like a VHS tape or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They did a bunch of those like years ago.
Yeah, this is one I picked up.
I don't have much else on this one.
I did want to mention what the fucking father's problem was with Ginny going to, and that's one thing about these movies that I've noticed like over the years, like what is with these uber rich people that always have like cemeteries in their fucking yards? Like they always bury their family members on their properties and shit. It's like no normal person just buries their family members. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, I remember thinking like as a kid that was like a way more normal thing than it really was because of all the movies I saw it.
I think it's just like an over rich person thing to do. It's like, oh well, she died. We're gonna bury her on the property and stuff. But like, anyways, the father gets so bent out of shape every time Ginny wants to go like hang out at the gravesite and stuff. And I'm like, well, if you're gonna bury your dead wife on your property, you shouldn't be getting pissed off if people want to go visit the grave. I never really understood what his fucking problem was. Like, what does it matter if she goes and hangs out at the grave and says and talks to her dead mom? Like, I don't really understand that. I always thought that was kind of a misstep. I'm just like, you're getting so pissed off over nothing. Like, what the fuck is the big deal? You know, like he makes a huge point of it and stuff, but very typical slasher thing when it comes to like their kind of, I guess, their party room, which is like an offset room from the house kind of deal. And like, I like the fact that it was like basically abandoned from the night that her mom died in the accident, like of her birthday and stuff like that. Like they go into this room and it's like cobwebbed up and shit. Like they never use the room ever again. I love that. It's great. But I guess they also come back to the house after, right? And stuff. So, but just the little things that I notice in films. But to be that rich, to have like a whole nother fucking section of your house, right? Can throw parties in and stuff. Pretty cool.
Must be nice.
Yep. You guys got anything else on
No.
Happy Birthday to Me?
I got a cool quote from the director. So he said, because he's more about it being a thriller than a slasher. Like he just
Of course.
Yeah.
He said, this movie has vivid individual characters. The difference between a good thriller and exploitative junk is whether or not you care about the victims. I thought that was an interesting little thought, especially applied to other horror movies, and whether or not, because sometimes movies can be a little too exploitative, and whether or not you think that it is depends on how much you care about the victims and whether you think that it's just fake or not. You guys know what I'm trying to say?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because we directly even mentioned that, how this movie separates itself from a lot of slasher films because you care about every character, and there's like not even one character that you really fully dislike in this, and they all felt like they were real close friends.
Yeah.
They weren't just a mismatch of like, people that were brought together through relationships and all that other type of bullshit. They felt like they were actually friends for a long time. And which is kind of interesting when you look at the backstory though, too, because like, these were the same people, I'm assuming, that were the ones that didn't show up to her birthday party back in the day kind of thing. But it is what it is. People grow up, right? But I mean, they managed to accomplish that character development, that, solidifying those type of characters for the viewer, that I agree. He says it, and, that we directly talked about that. So,
yeah.
That guy's a nerd. You made a slasher. Get over it.
I'd still call it a slasher. I do that.
That's cope. Like, dude, there's nothing wrong with it. You made a slasher. Like,
I think it for the time, it was like, let's face it, dude. There was like, 100 fucking theatrical slasher films in 1981, and it's like you didn't want to like fully lump your product into that. What
happened, and because this is what I kind of pick off, like bringing in like the older classy actors in it. Like he probably wanted to make more of an adult movie, like something like, I don't know, like The Omen, where like, they brought in like Gregory Peck. Like they were trying to like sell an older crowd by having like Glenn Ford in it. And then like the studio was like, hey, this movie about chopping up kids is pretty good. And they marketed it to teenagers. And he was probably like, hey, fuck you.
Yeah. But I mean, if you set out to make a different type of film, one that you felt a little bit more about the character, it definitely succeeded in it.
Yeah, it's like, it can't be a slasher. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, how many other of his movies are people talking about 40 something years later?
Right. Yeah. Right. And it's not just one of those movies that, I shouldn't say that fully. I mean, this is probably one of those movies that people check out based on the cover art because it's got a great title. It's got a great, poster art and stuff like that.
It really does. It just looks like this is the 80s slasher I was looking
this
for.
is quintessential 1981 slasher shit. But again, it separates itself because it's so different in the aspect that it has this complex narrative with all these twists, and there was thought put into this a little bit, and it's a good one. It sticks out to me. It sticks out. So, ratings.
Yeah.
I'd give it an 8.
Was that Mason?
Yeah, I'd give it an 8.
Okay, Tyler, what do you give it?
6.5.
JP, what do you give it?
I give it an 8.
You give it an 8 also. I'm in exactly at an 8 also. I think it's, one of the more solid slashers from this era. It's just 100%. Got so much competition, man. You look at 1981 in general, just for slasher films. Jesus, dude. Like we could do a whole show just on 1981 slashers, like just a year.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see where it actually broke down on people's lists, even if it did make their top 10 lists, because there's so many good ones from that time period. So, but that is Happy Birthday to Me from 1981.
22 shots.
All right, so getting into the second featured review here, episode 252 from 1983, we have Curtains. Yeah. So what's your guys' history with this one? First time watch, rewatch? What's the story?
This was a rewatch, but I haven't seen
time.
it. I haven't seen it in such a long time that it was like almost a fresh watch. I did remember like some parts in the ending though.
Mm-hmm. Mason, you seen this one before?
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Wow.
Okay. JP, you've never seen this one before.
I've
Crazy.
never seen it. I bought the, what is it, Synapse?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Synapse.
Yeah, for this show. But yeah, no, I've always known of it because the like hag mask, like I've seen it around and
Well, it was one of those
that.
kind of stuck on VHS films forever.
Yeah,
Until
I
it got its
remember it was
Blu-ray
a-
release.
It
Because
was
it
a
had
big
like,
deal.
yeah, it had like these minor, like, 8 or 9 pack film release DVD, like it was garbage releases, right? So it was kind of stuck in like that obscurity for a long time. And then Synapse decided to go and drop a fucking great Blu-ray of it, which is pretty damn cool. So they've done that with a few Canadian gems, actually. I like their Canadian films. So, all right. So synopsis: 6 young actresses auditioning for a movie role at a remote mansion are targeted by a mysterious masked murderer. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess that works.
Fucking classic slasher.
Right. Mason, thoughts on Curtains?
This is one of my slasher happy place movies. It's I have my top 50 slashers, and this is number 44, so it makes my top 50 list. And I do consider myself like a slasher fan. That's my favorite horror subgenre.
Right.
Mostly, and this movie is really carried by Samantha Eggers from The Brood, and then the whole cast just makes it worth it. I love the Scythe, I love the mask, I love the musical score. It's always a fun watch, and the production behind it again, with its drama, is really interesting, and it makes you just like, they really wanted to make this movie. It took several years, so I like the dedication behind it.
You know, one thing I fucking love about this movie, I don't know if you guys have ever caught on to this, but when the credits are rolling, the movie says directed by Jonathan Stryker.
it
And
also says Act 1.
That's the character played by John Vernon in the film. It's not the real director's name, which is Richard Kapuka. I don't even know how to say his last name, but anyways, I thought that was a really interesting touch of cinematic beautiness, is to throw the character's name up there as a director. I think it's pretty cool. So, but yeah, no, this movie was always, to me, I always remembered the pond scene, because that fucking iconic kind of witch old lady. What the fuck is it, by the way?
It's like a hag mask.
It's like a hag mask. Yeah, it's like that.
It's creepy.
It's just a creepy ass old lady hag fucking witch. I don't know. I love the mask. It's great. It's so cool looking. But like, I always remember that scene of the girl that's out there. She's listening to her tunes on her fucking little cassette deck and shit, skating out in the fucking woods pond, and all of a sudden the killer's coming towards her, man. And like the way it's shot, like, and that's one thing about this movie that separates itself from a lot of films, is the great cinematography in it. There's a lot of really great shots, whether it be in the house or the outside shots are done really well. There's a really great scene on a road involving a doll, and the way that's shot from different angles and stuff. And like the editing, like this whole movie for a low budget production is shot really well. It's edited really well too. I think that, which, those are the type of things that not a lot of people take in, account when they're watching these type of slasher films. It's like, whatever, it is what it is. But man, there's a lot of really good work put into this film. Even though the narrative isn't like the strongest thing in the world, it is a slasher film, remember. I do think that it sells itself from looking really great. It got a lot of really creepy moments. I really like the third act in this film. You know, when it breaks it down and like, you know, you get to see all the studio stuff in the house and shit like that. There's some pretty fucking quirky moments though. You got to admit. So,
Oh yeah.
okay. So Mason, you being a big fan of this film, explain the scene to me where the bodies go out the window, but then one of them comes back into the house in the bottom. So I've never been able to figure out semantically and
You're
logically
really
and physically how in the flying fuck, and I mean flying fuck, because that makes the complete sense. How the fuck did that body end up back in the fucking house?
What I found out about it is that, like, yeah, obviously it doesn't make sense and they realize that, but like the guy that was on the jet ski, that was supposed to be like the first part of it was supposed to be his death scene, and that didn't work out. So they just made it that the director's death scene, and they just kind of, you know, pulled whatever they could out of their ass to make that work. But, you know, knowing that it was not really believable.
Right.
But
because I mean, physically, if you know anything about physics, when you have something going, you know, out a window and you have the momentum going out a window, it shouldn't fly back the other way.
Yeah.
It's almost like the person was on a rope. It's like the Darkman scene, right? It's like, and then you fucking end up back in the window kind of thing, right? Like, but no, that scene always made me laugh and shit like that. But I actually really like the narrative in this film. I always used to get so confused because I didn't really understand the whole idea of method acting, and they play off that in Curtains, right?
Yeah.
Of how like this director, the director in the film, you know, Jonathan Stryker, he has a muse. Like he has this actress that, you know, works with him very closely, and, you know, she's doing all these films with him and stuff like that. And he's telling her that, hey, I have this, you know, this iconic part for you. And, you know, if you want to take it serious, you know, basically what happens is she commits herself. She gets herself committed into this institution because the character that she's going to be playing is based off of this type of crazy person. And she gets herself committed and stuff like that. But in reality, he's kind of a jerk. He's kind of a douchebag, and he really is not trying to even hire her for this part anyways. So explain to me the motivations behind this. Did he just want her out of the picture? So he went along with her trying to, you know, get yourself committed because he had no intentions of actually putting her in the movie and stuff like that. See, it's kind of a cool setup because when you look at that, you think right away, like, hey, maybe he might even be the killer. But the obvious choice would be her to be the killer because she got fucked over on this part that she was supposed to be doing and stuff like that, right? So with that said, when you get the reveal in this film, is it a good reveal as you know, who's actually doing the killings? Is it a good reveal?
I think it's an interesting reveal.
I think it's interesting.
Is it believable?
Because there's two killers.
Well, there is technically two killers, but I mean, I'm talking about the one that's doing the other killings. I mean, the one that, you know, the killer that ends up killing Stryker and shit, it makes sense.
The one in the hag mask or
the hag mask.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. She would do anything for the role.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, is it like, I mean, I get like when he dies, like why he dies and who he dies by.
Yeah.
Right. Because she got fucked over hardcore. And I mean, that's straight revenge, because when you're told that you're going to be starring in a film and you go through a process, which, let's face it, in reality, this shit is never going to fucking happen. Like, if you're like, I understand method acting, but that's taking it one step beyond where you need to be. Like, getting yourself committed to understand what these people go through is a crazy idea. But it's also great motivation to kill the director after. Like, I mean, it's perfect motivation. Yeah. But that's where I find this movie quite interesting, is that there is like technically two storylines happening, and you get two killers, and, you know, again, which is kind of ahead of its time a little bit, right? You weren't seeing a lot of dual killers in a sense in these type of films. I talk about To All a Good Night, where I believe was probably one of the first films ever to have two killers. And
I never seen it where you have two killers that aren't working together.
Yeah, definitely unique. Right. It's definitely unique, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But what the one problem I've always had with this film is that when we get the reveal of the other killer, I have a hard time believing, because maybe it's because she's like the funny one in the film. Yeah. And like, she pulls off the role actually really well. I think she's actually quite funny in this film, and she does it really well.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time believing like that character that's so likable in the movie and she's funny and quirky and very entertaining is the person responsible for the carnage in this place. Like, I don't know, for some odd reason, it always kind of just baffles me a little bit. I don't know if you guys have the same.
She's such a great actress, man.
Maybe that's what it is. But like, I mean, I get the whole idea of like, you'll do anything. You'll literally kill for that part because it's a cliche. It's almost like a cliched saying, right? Like, hey, I would kill for that part. But then there's people that literally are doing what they're saying.
A lot of this is like exaggerating the whole like casting and, you know, getting a like, you know, like kind of a Weinstein kind of parallel.
Right. Well, that's a cool analogy, actually.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that's what drives you to do these type of things, right? When you got assholes like Weinstein in the industry and shit like that too, right? I mean, the guy's a dirtbag. Let's face it. Stryker's a fucking asshole.
The real villain here.
Yeah.
He is. He's your typical, and I think that's kind of what they're playing off of, right? They're playing off of these Hollywood directors that think they're bigger than life. They can do what the fuck they want, like get people committed and fuck them over and, you know, take advantage and be an asshole. Like, I mean, there's scenes where he's like, hey, act for me, do this, do that. Like,
Yeah,
he's
this
just,
guy
you know,
is like just narcissism, like in a person.
that is one narcissistic ass motherfucker. Totally.
Narcissism
Like
person.
this guy's bigger than fucking life itself, right? And I mean, I guess the motivations make sense. Yeah.
Did you hear who the director really wanted to play that role?
Who?
It was Klaus Kinski.
That was so sick. That
He
was
wanted
awesome.
Klaus for the role, man. It didn't happen, but that would have been sick.
Dude, Klaus Kinski, that
was actually insane.
It would have been really believable, actually, to be honest, because Klaus Kinski, he's known as a dick in real life. It would have just translated perfect to the screen.
Yeah,
yeah, would have been a good choice.
Yeah, really good choice.
What was Klaus doing at this time?
I mean,
he was doing a lot of shit, man. I mean, he was still doing stuff pretty.
Was he still doing movies with Herzog?
In 80, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously 79 he did.
He did that movie in 80 that Vinegar Syndrome put out, right? Was it like Shriek or something?
He did Crawl Space in 86.
Yeah.
Creepy
He
ass
did Venom in 81.
Schizoid. That was the movie.
What year is
that
this?
movie was so bad.
Schizoid,
yeah.
That movie's ass.
The only reason to watch that movie is for Klaus.
Yeah. If you're a Klaus fan, you got to watch that type of shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's kind of crazy. He did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movies in 82, and then 4 movies in 84, 3 movies in 84, but didn't do anything in 83.
Yeah.
Take a break.
You know, another thing I really like about this movie, man, I know Mason brought up the score is really good in this, is the transitions. How they literally sometimes have the curtains kind of pulling back the screen and stuff. I like those little nice touches, man.
Yeah.
You know, shit like that is always good to me. You know, again, this movie right here, just like Happy Birthday to Me, deals with, you know, mental illness and stuff like that. And again, it doesn't have a massive body count. Like, what's the body count in this film? It's got to be 5 or 6 people, maybe.
Like
Yeah,
5,
less than
I
10.
think.
Yeah, and they even throw in that one random one where, you know, she's not even part. Well, I guess she was supposed to be one of the actresses, but she never actually makes it to the house and gets killed and stuff like that. But
Right.
I feel like it's a scene where they're like, well, we need another death scene, you know?
Yeah.
Let's
Which
shoot
I'm always
this.
fine with in slashers.
Yeah.
Dude, the ice skating scene is probably the best scene in the movie, though.
It's iconic. I think it's super, super iconic. It's scary. It's shot well too. Like if you actually see how many edits are in that and shit,
And it's
it's pretty
very
cool.
fucking Canadian.
That's what I was gonna say.
You know what's so Canadian about that?
Yeah, I was like, this is the most Canadian kill I've ever seen in my life.
The most Canadian thing about that though is that there's like no pathway to like this ice rink that's totally been shoveled. I'm like, what the fuck is this? But like she's like chomping through the bushes to get to this skating area. I'm like, that's funny. It's so damn Canadian. Trust me.
So, did you know
Happens all the
that
time.
the actress that gets killed during that movie, during filming, she face planted and injured herself?
on the ice.
So yes. So the stunt double skated the ice as her, but that same stunt double also played the killer.
Oh, that's fucking tough.
Oh, weird. So they had to like double time on the editing there. That's crazy.
Yep. I thought that was a neat little fun fact.
Yeah, dude, that just seeing the hag mask with the scythe,
Yeah.
the sickle, is crazy looking, dude. It's creepy. It's just fucking weird.
Mhm.
Especially that scene.
It's a
where
great mask.
It makes her perform, and her eyes in the mask. I thought that was creepy. Yeah.
I still think, like I said, this movie is mostly noted for that pawn kill.
Mhm.
And, I get it though, like, cause it's shot really well. Like I said, I just, the cinematography is beautiful in that, but it's also the editing too, man. The editing is really good in that scene. But I really like the scene where she pulls up on the road and she sees that fucking doll sitting there. I mean, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's still cool to see. It's creepy as fuck. But I love that scene, man. It's great. But I think the third act is probably my favorite thing though, because I love seeing like Hollywood sets and just props from movies and shit like that, all like just in scenes. You know what I mean? Like it's a bunch of shit from his movies that are all in the garages and in these random rooms and things like that. And I love shit like that, man.
Yeah.
It looks good though. It's really good. But yeah, anything with like creepy ass fucking dolls and shit.
Yeah, the dolls are really creepy. That was like a kind of a cool,
But they have, like,
killer's mark.
Like a creepy doll on a rainy road. It's awesome. It's suspenseful. It's awesome. You're like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's cool. But I will say, man, it's a slow burn.
I did note this movie was kind of slow. Like, no, you didn't really get any action until like 45 minutes in.
Yeah, no, it definitely relies on the whole aspect of Stryker and his obedience to these bitches and shit. Like he's just, it's a lot of dickish shit that's going on there for a while. But
yeah,
I like it though, man. I mean, I mean, that's the commentary of like, I think what they're kind of showcasing with, these big Hollywood productions and shit and like how they really are, there's a lot of fucking people out there that just, they're abusing their actresses and this is how they really are. They're just assholes out there. So, I mean, I think it's kind of a commentary on that a little bit.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm assuming this movie was super low budget. It had to have been. It's a Canadian film from the tax bracket era. I mean, it had to have been low budget because they didn't produce anything with budgets back in those days. So
yeah, it's pretty isolated. Like that is like a good way to like maximize your budget. Like I did like the setting of like having like these like these 5 personalities like all kind of like pitted against each other.
Mm-hmm.
In this isolated place, just because like you can like I would imagine like in a scenario like this, like where you're like auditioning against each other, like all the actresses like are probably going to be really competitive and cutthroat.
Yeah, I think that like it's kind of a shame that more movies weren't produced like this at the time, utilizing the Canadian landscape with the snow and that cold atmosphere and using the woods and using the isolation. It could be, it probably is. Well, I mean, it depends where it is though too. Like if you're in like mid Canada, you don't want to film in the wintertime, like Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, those type of areas. Like it's like minus fucking 50 up there, 60, 70 with the wind chills. Like nobody wants to be there. Like where I live, we don't get even close to that. Like I have green grass, so I could mow my lawn tomorrow. Right.
Yeah. This one was Muskoka, Ontario.
Yeah. So, I mean, you'll get those nasty storms. It's well, I mean, JP, you guys get those ice storms and shit out there and stuff like, so they get very similar weather. You guys are just below where that is filmed. So
yeah,
but you don't want to shooting in the prairies and shit, man. I think that's just unacceptable. It's too fucking cold, man. Like you'd fucking die out there in the wintertime. That's why you don't see a lot of films filmed in those areas in the winter months and stuff like that. So what was the Halloween film that we just watched, that we just did? Dark Harvest. Yeah, that was shot in Winnipeg. And, like in the prairies, right? It's super flat, like fucking cornfields and shit like that. But, that was obviously shot when it was warm. You would not be doing that movie right now. Like it's probably minus 50 there right now.
Gross.
Yeah, really gross. Like nobody goes there. It's desolate, man. Yeah, it's nasty. So.
Let's put a hockey team here, eh?
Mm-hmm. Here, eh? Yeah, in Winnipeg. Yeah, it makes sense, right? Yeah.
And then isn't that like a known thing that players don't want to play in Winnipeg because it's so fucking cold in the middle of nowhere?
It is, man. There's players that have literally turned down contracts, like with the old Winnipeg Jets, and so they're not playing in fucking Winnipeg. It's terrible there.
Yeah.
Awesome. One thing, actually, the most Canadian thing besides like the setting in this film to me is the scene where the funny girl in the movie, which I keep calling her the funny girl. What actually is her fucking name? I feel like I'm just being an asshole.
Funny girl.
It's funny girl. Is it Ann Ditchburn? Ann Ditchburn? Is that her real name? She's got that look to her, man. She's been in lots of stuff.
The only actress I recognize in this movie was the girl
Griffin,
from
guys.
The Bird. Lynn Griffin.
Lynn Griffin.
Anyways, there's a scene where they
Black
show her doing
Christmas,
some stand-up and stuff, and she's performing at Yuck Yucks. Like Yuck Yucks is like a comedy club in Canada. Like, man, as soon as I saw Yuck Yucks, it's just made me laugh, and I'm like, these guys are gonna have no idea what the fuck Yuck Yucks is.
Oh, she was in Thanksgiving. The
She
new
was the
Thanksgiving.
grandma on Thanksgiving. That's fucking
Damn.
cool.
But yeah, fuck, dude, that's crazy.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's Eli Roth being a Canadian slasher fan.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Hell
She
yeah.
was in
man.
Black Christmas too.
But anyways, look
Yeah.
up that shit with Yuck Yucks, man. Like she's the stand-up comedian performing at Yuck Yucks. I'm like, that's so fucking Canadian, man. Oh, that's
Nice.
awesome. So awesome. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. You guys got anything else? Macy, you got anything else? I know you're a big fan of the film.
Let's see, man. So we commented a lot about the cinematography, and I just wanted to say the cinematographer Robert Painter also did movies like An American Werewolf in London, Little Shop of Horrors.
You know,
Michael
I
Jackson-
never looked into that.
Oh,
I should have looked into that because that's one thing about this movie that I always thought was really beautiful was the cinematography. And thanks for bringing that up. That's awesome. So he did American Werewolf in London. Cool.
Yep. And Michael Jackson's Thriller, the music video, man.
Oh, for John
That's
Landis.
really cool.
Yeah.
John Landis. Cool.
Oh yeah, so you probably had a connection with John Landis.
Well, that's exactly what it is. Landis
Yeah.
was using the same cinematographer.
That's so sick to catch a gig like that with like such a good director.
Right.
There's this crazy Swedish guy that's like done like all the Ingmar Bergman's movies and also like came to America and did like What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Mhm.
Love Gilbert Grape.
It's amazing what somebody like that can bring to a movie, right? Like you have this low budget film,
dude.
but you can shoot it as well. Like we've said many, many times. I know Dave Z is a big fan of this. Like, you know, having a good setting is like half your battle, right?
Yeah.
But if you can shoot it properly, shoot that fucking natural setting, then you're winning, man.
Hell yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's what makes these low budget films go a long way, man. And I think, a lot of people watch these movies and they don't really look at it the way we are. You know, they're not really seeing that type of cinematography, and they're not trying to see that shit. They're just, they're waiting for the next big kill and stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
as much as I look at this film and I'm like, it's a little bit more of a slow burn. It doesn't have like the craziest kills. It actually has a couple really bizarre ones where bodies are flying back into houses. But overall, like the end product of this movie is really, it's a fun kind of timeless slasher film that like stands a test of time. In my opinion, it's just a really, really well-made film.
And it's one of those fucking movies about movies, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I
movies.
love movies that are about movies.
Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun watching Super 8 this week because of that.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Me too, man. Watching Super 8 is so fucking cool, dude, because it's like, it just reminds me of as a kid. Like I didn't have the motivation to make movies and stuff, but like seeing like the Dawn of the Dead poster on the wall and shit, I'm like, okay, I love these kids. These kids are me. Yeah. So who's that? Tyler, what do you rate this one? What do you rate this one?
This movie's fun. I don't think it's as good as like some of like the upper tier like non-franchise slashers, but it's fun. It's got some cool kills. It's got the creepy mask. It's got like a little bit more to it, and I like the ending. I'll give this one a 6.
Word.
I'm coming in at a 7.5 on this one. I think Curtains is a pretty cool film. It's creepy, man. It's got its creepy ass moments and shit. I like films about films, man. So it's, even though it's a little bit more slow and it probably isn't going to float everyone's boat, based on the pacing, I think is sometimes a little bit slower, but I think it's intriguing. I think it's very intriguing, and it has its standout moments, which is enough for me. So 7.5 on curtains. JP.
No. Dude, my fucking mic just stopped working for a second, and the audio was coming through the speakers on the computer. I was like, what the fuck?
How the hell is that even possible?
I don't know. It was weird, dude. I had to unplug it, plug it back in.
That is weird.
What did Tyler give it?
6. I gave it 7.5.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm right with Moodz. I was kind of teetering on 8, 7.5. I'll go 7.5.
All right, Mason.
And for the record, 8.5 on this one.
Whoa, nice.
And so this is number 44 in your top 50, and it's an 8.5.
For
Boy loves slashers.
Damn.
Yes. Oh yeah, my slashers start with 8s, man. Hell yeah.
I would love to actually break down. I know, like Exploding Heads is doing their big slasher film and shit, like, or their big show.
Which shout out to them. I just listened to their newest, and hell yeah.
Yeah. It's so hard for me because
on that show.
I'm just like you. I'm a huge slasher fan. I grew up with this stuff. My favorite franchise is Nightmare on Elm Street, but like I love slasher films in general, and I find myself to be a little bit of a connoisseur of it. Like I've seen a ton of them. It would be really interesting to. I've never actually broke down a big list. Like I've done like 10 of my favorites kind of thing and stuff, but I've never 50. Holy shit. It just seems like a lot. I think I would have a hard time doing it, actually.
Yeah, give it some time, but it'd be fun.
Well,
do you have a lot of modern ones on there? Like post 2000, like that type of modern.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
There's a few.
Yeah. I definitely would have a couple in there. There's a few modern slashers that I absolutely adore. So
yeah. I think that
I got terrified.
When it comes to slashers, like if I'm doing like franchises included, it's going to be very dominated by franchises.
I actually would never. I don't think I could do the top 50 with franchise slashers because I feel like I just feel like I would have so many Friday and Nightmare ones.
I feel like I would have top 50. I'd have at
top
least 4
50.
or 5.
I would have at least 6 to 7 Friday the 13th, and
looking at mine,
like,
I would have at least 4.
I'd have to really rework it.
I would have
at least 2 Nightmare.
Yeah,
I would have at least 4
Halloween
Fridays.
Yeah, I think I'd have the first 4 Fridays.
I would have part.
Oh no, I want to have 3. I would have the other. I'd have 6.
3, 4, 5, 6. Oh man, I would probably have 5.
You wouldn't have part 1.
No, part
1, 2, 4, 6. I'd have
part
probably.
1, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Not 2. Part 2 is like the one of the best.
Yeah, I like 1, 2, 4, 6.
I would easily have 1 through 6.
Yeah,
I mean, I
would definitely have Nightmare 1 and 3.
It's funny because I always think to myself that I don't really care for part 2. I mean, it's not that I don't care for. I love part 2, but it's when I think of Friday films, it's like part 3 to 6 is like the ones I watch all the time.
I'd have to would you guys count Peeping Tom as a slasher?
Yeah,
no, not for that list.
I don't think I would either.
I would have a hard time. Yeah.
Like I know people just say it's like, oh, it's like the first slasher or something.
I mean, in theory, it kind of is a slasher film.
I consider
it's proto slasher.
It is proto, but I mean, still,
but it's like, do you count
film.
the Giallo? But this is the big question: do you count the Giallos?
No.
Yeah, my list of meats
Stage Fright, I would count.
Okay, I have Tenebrae on my list.
See, I wouldn't count Tenebrae.
Yeah.
See, Tenebrae to me is like a Giallo, right? Like I try to separate Giallo from an actual American slasher film. I think they're different.
When I try to explain to people what Giallos are, I always say they're like Italian slashers, but they're usually like more violent, more musical, and more sexual. So it's like a little
they're more adult. They're also more adult too.
That's basically what I say. I say they're like Italian adult slashers.
Yeah.
The big thing that separates slashers from Giallos to me is the police procedural aspect. or
Yeah,
the
that's
investigative narrative aspect. Yeah, and there are some slashers that have like an investigative narrative, but it's so much heavier leaning in giallos.
Yeah, it's like a trope.
Well,
like
because
in a
that's
giallo
the
movie.
thriller, that's the mystery part of it, right? When you have the investigative part, it's like you're trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I have the New York Ripper at 18 in my bed, and I don't know. Is that a slasher?
Now
I
that
like-
one is a bit more.
That's
well, that's
more when you
Fulci's attempt at like doing more of an American style, but
it's in
at
an
the same
American
time,
place.
it's still a major fucking giallo, though, right?
Yeah, I
Because
would
like,
still leave that in the giallo territory over
Yeah.
slasher.
yeah,
Like the way that I look at it is, if you're gonna put it in one of the two
Yeah.
categories, either giallo or slasher,
Yeah, that's a good
if
way to
it
put
doesn't
it.
go into slasher, then I'm not counting it for a slasher list.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
would
one-
like to do a top 50 list without franchise films just to see where it would go.
Well, that's what Exploding Heads is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I
I'm
think it would
really
be. I
interested
think it would
in
be.
that.
It's a lot harder, but at the same time, it also breaks it down a lot easier.
Yeah.
I
because
think
you're gonna
have
fucking
a
struggle.
lot of different lists with that because it's just like I think it's really open films.
I'm
for just, like, straight
thinking that like
references.
someone like Dave Z, who's a big slasher fan, is going to have a lot of modern ones in there. I can
Probably.
see him having a ton of
Too,
modern
if I had
ones.
to be more strict.
I think
Yeah.
Dave likes modern movies a lot more than I do.
Well,
the
Dave
thing
likes
is
modern
with
movies
that,
more than
too,
I think a lot of people do.
the thing with that is that whenever you discount the franchise films, you lose so much in the 80s and 90s, you know what I mean? Because anything that was good was getting sequels. you
Well, and
know?
like why I
Yeah.
love slashers just
That's
because of
fair.
franchises too, so that hurts.
Yeah.
There is a ton
Yeah.
of slasher films between 81 and like 83, 84 that are very, very much
You know what I
standalone.
think? What I'd
Very
like
much
to list of?
standalones.
There are.
No sequels. Like so, you can have like Nightmare on Elm Street, you can have Halloween, you can have Friday the 13th, but no sequels.
Well,
No, fuck that.
What happens if your favorite film from Nightmare on Elm Street is part 3?
It doesn't
you're
count.
right.
Doesn't count.
So
say
what
you
you
only get
should say
standalone.
is only one film represented per franchise.
I just
Okay.
like the idea of like the first because now it's like it's the same deal as like any other standalone slasher where you're not like going off of existing property.
Yeah, I get
Mhm.
what you're saying, but my favorite is often not the first.
Yeah, like and that's fair. Just for the experience, like okay, well if we're gonna compare apples to apples, the first one kind of you could say the first one is fair game just because like you're not like already existing off a 90-minute movie or something.
I still want to do a draft episode.
Yeah.
I think it would be
What do
really
you
fun.
What do you mean by
Well,
draft episode?
So, like, let's say we take like the big four franchises, like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw, and then me, whoever's on the show, like four of us or whatever, we take turns of drafting from the films, and then the listeners vote on who made the best list.
Oh, that's really cool. I would love to do that.
Yeah, but you could also do like directors. You could do, Italian films,
But I
You could do so
you know
much
me,
with
I
the
hate the
drafting.
idea because I hate when people fucking break down our list. I'm like, which one had the best list? And I'm like, man,
Don't worry, I'll
the
But,
word
okay,
best-
but here's the thing: that's
everybody knows the word
is
best
not
to me
pick
doesn't
your
exist.
Favorite movies. It's to pick the best objective list of films.
So actually
No.
do a best list.
Yeah, you're not picking like the ones you like the most.
Oh, like you
Yeah.
did with the top 100.
Yeah, like you're trying. It's
Yeah, that was a different list.
Like,
That
it's
was-
a game, right? It's
It's like,
not
yeah. So if we had like that, those lists, I think a lot of people get it twisted though too, because when we broke down like the most influential, I mean, that was very specific, right? That was influential.
Yeah,
And then
like,
we've done our top
influential.
50 favorite directors show, and that was those were personal lists. Like, we've never done a top 100 film fucking list or whatever. It's just, I mean, best of list. We've actually never done our personal favorite list either. I guess we did a top 50 though, right?
we did a top
Yeah.
50.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so top 50 is that's a
Which
little
I think
hard.
I also had like 6 Friday the 13th on.
Yeah, that's a hard. Even looking back on that list now, like I think I looked back at I think last summer, maybe a year ago or something like that, and I was like, "Holy fuck, is this?"
Yeah,
ever
mine would be
different
a
now?
lot different. There would be a lot the same too, but like I would definitely have like more Italian stuff in there now.
It's
that I
just what
wouldn't
you're
have had
feeling
back
at the
then.
time, right? It's what you're feeling at the time. Like there's times where I watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space 14 times in a week, and I'm like, man, this is my favorite movie of all time. But I mean, in my heart, it's still Dawn of the Dead. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
So I mean, lists are changing. They're always changing. That's why I always say take them with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
And that's why I like personal lists, because making best of lists, like, I don't even know where to break down the semantics of what makes a film better than another one. I just know what I like personally better than other films.
The way that I was like kind of,
I don't know if it's better than the other film. So
is you do the draft, and then that you're basically asking the listeners, this is a marathon. Which marathon would you rather watch? You get what I'm saying? Like, if we end up with 8 films each or whatever, then it's like the listeners, if you were going to watch all 8 of these movies, which list of 8 would you rather watch?
And so we're making this list from what aspect? Like, these are like my top favorite movies, or just...
No, this is a draft. You're trying to draft the best list. Right?
Oh, you're just trying to... so basically... You have to be very strategic about maybe even the organization of, or the construction of how you place your films too. Like, you watch Dawn of the Dead.
You could say like a caveat, like you can watch them in any order, because like then I think the idea of like the draft is like you're just like you're picking what you think is the like constructing the best, and like like a sports draft.
But there is a format where we could do an episode where we're trying to draft a marathon and strategically
you could do
like a slower film
when you're talking about draft.
So you could set the titles however you want, like that.
So when you're talking about draft, that means the movie can only be picked once, right? Because it's like a draft.
Yeah.
So just like for example, like because like to go with your marathon idea. Let's say we did like 80 drive-in movies. You came up with like 32 like classic driving classics from the 80s or something. And there was 4 of us, and we each have to like take turns drafting movies until we have 8 apiece, and you can order the movies and whatever you want. So like, this is my marathon.
Yeah. And then the people would vote on who put together the best marathon from the draft.
Right.
I think it would be fun.
That sounds like it'd be a lot of fun.
Because your strategy is like, if I'm like second overall pick, like, do I think that, Friday 2 is going to get picked in this cycle? If not, maybe I wait until next cycle to try to get it. But then Moodz fucking drafts it and it ruins my draft board.
So when it comes to the draft, is there a certain amount of films that are only available for the draft?
Yeah, like let's say
it would be predetermined.
So there's like 200 films. So say there's 200 movies available for the draft, and then that's what we have to pick from. It's just like an NHL draft. There's only so many players that you can draft, right?
Yeah.
So once they're gone, that's your list. Okay, see, that makes more sense, because I was thinking about the way you were saying it. I was like, so we have to basically kind of compile a list, and then you have to make sure you have a ton of other films like on a fucking random list, because these might get taken and you can take this one. But yeah, if we come up with we would say 200 films list or whatever, and then we pick from those. Okay. Yeah. That's kind of a cool idea, man. I really like that. That's a really
cool idea.
Yeah, and you can really do it with so many different things.
But again, this whole thing comes down to being super subjective in terms of what you actually like. Say with Mason, if Mason was on the outside looking in, and my whole list was slasher films, he's probably going to take my fucking list, right? Where someone maybe doesn't like slasher films.
You want to play to, like maybe you want to like you could just play to that audience.
Yeah, I guess if you're smart about it,
like for example, like say you put like 10 of like the most pretentious movies on there, you could possibly think and be like, oh, Tyler's going to take all those. I'm not going to win if I do that.
Yeah.
Well, you might win somebody's votes.
I might win some votes, but I'm not going to win the vote of the audience if I were to be like, we're going to.
You might win Dave's. You might win Dave's if they all have good cover art or something, and it passes this test.
Like, all right, guys, we're going to watch The Innocents, and then we're going to watch Onababa.
Mm-hmm. Right. but that's a great example though, because like a lot of people, they're not willing to watch a lot of foreign films. So if you compile a list of like 7 or 8 foreign films, and you got to read these films, they're gonna be like, fuck that guy's list, man. That's like, bullshit.
Oh, can you pick a movie made in the last 50 years?
Right. Exactly.
Right. Well, like you could even take we could take a list from like Letterboxd or whatever, like the top 100 Letterboxd films or whatever.
There's a top 250 Letterboxd horror films.
Okay, right there. You take that, and that's our draft capital, right? Like maybe we do 10 films each or 8 films each or whatever, but the draft is out of all of those films are picked, our ability to pick. So you would have such a big like type of movie, like you would have like classics and and old stuff, but you're the idea is to make the most cohesive, like cool marathon that you can make, and the listeners pick who did the best.
I was actually looking at that list the other day, Tyler, the top 250 horror. There was a handful of films in there I'd never even heard of. I couldn't fucking believe that I hadn't seen all the movies on this list. But then again, it's also compiled on there. And I was like, there was a bunch of movies and they pretty much were all like Asian films that I actually was not familiar with. And I was like, oh shit, what crazy, man. It caught me right off guard.
Yeah, there's there's a ton I haven't seen either. I think I've seen like 185, something like that.
Yeah, I was going through and I'd seen a lot of the movies, but there was the odd one I never even heard of, which was blowing my mind.
There's some on there.
It's not that I hadn't just seen it. It's not that I hadn't just seen it, or you know, like I had never actually heard of it. I was like, "Fuck me, man, crazy." So
yeah, that was an idea I had for a long time.
No, that's a really cool one. I actually really like I want to do the show where we do the hidden gems too, because I actually compiled a list.
Yeah, we could do a top 10.
I did one years ago. I have to redo it now because I deleted my list or whatever. But I remember a couple of the films that were on it.
Yeah, we should do that. We should do it like Hidden Gems Volume 1, and then we each pick like 5 to 10 movies. Yeah. To talk about, and we just go round circle. I
say we pick a fucking even 22. I'm joking.
All right.
That'd be fucking way too long.
Tangent of horror. 22 tangents of horror.
What are we talking about? Are we still on?
Yeah, we
finished the ratings.
Curtains. Man, we were on curtains so long it turned to meat curtains. Holy fuck!
Yeah, this was the intermission of curtains between the Carpenter.
All right, so
that was an ad.
We're done with curtains, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that is Curtains from 1983. All right, so getting into the third and final film here on episode 252, we're going to take it to the glorious year of 1988. It is a good year. With a film called The Carpenter, starring the one and only Wings Hauser. Fuck yeah. You know anything that has Wings Hauser and it's going to be at least entertaining because the dude is just entertaining. There's something about him, man. I don't know what it is about Wings Hauser. I know a lot of people don't really care for him, but I think that you guys also don't like Nick Cage, so fuck off.
Dude, I like Nick Cage. We all like Nick Cage.
I'm not talking to you specifically. I'm talking to the shitty ass listeners that are going,
oh yeah, you better recognize.
You better recognize, motherfucker. Yeah, no, Wings Hauser, I feel like is on the same playing field as like Nick Cage, just on a lower key, because you either like him or you don't. It's funny. Yeah. It's funny to me.
Hell yeah.
But I've always been a big fan of Wings Hauser. He's done a lot of movies I really enjoy and stuff. And this is like obviously way past the golden age of slasher films. This is like to the point where it's like, what the fuck is a slasher film?
This is where they start naming them after professions.
Right. And this is also where they try to do some weird ass shit to separate themselves from being that like just super cliche slasher film where, you know, it's like, you know, A to B, you know, like this one is a weird one. It's a weird fucking movie.
Feels like it came out in 1992.
Yeah, it does.
It feels ahead of its time.
I get 90s vibes.
It feels like it's a 90s movie.
Are you saying this one is ahead of its time?
I'm not necessarily saying that, but it feels like just
it really does.
Lighting, it's like more in the day. Like, I don't know, just the structure. It feels like 90s to me. I don't know.
Yeah, this is a weird
movie, erotic thriller. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Dude, this movie is bizarre.
All right. So synopsis on it. A mad woman and her cheating husband hire men to fix up their new house. Mysterious carpenter Ed becomes her guardian angel, but he is actually an executed killer whose spirit has returned to finish the dream house he once started. So
it also sounds like a 90s plot.
So this movie it is very strange again. So it follows a theme that we didn't actually plan out, and our main character in the film, our lead actress, is suffering from mental illness and stuff like that.
That's so weird that all three of these movies have.
Yeah, it's so strange. And then, so basically, you know, there's certain things that are happening, and this guy is like coming to her rescue and stuff like that. But the weirdest thing about the narrative in this film is like, you learn pretty early that, you know, Wings Hauser's character, who's just called the Carpenter, he actually doesn't even have a name. Or maybe they call him Ed. Carpenter Ed, they say Ed, but I don't even know if they even call him that in the film. But that he had been executed for a series of murders that he had committed. But the weird thing about the film is like they play it off like she they introduce her as a being, you know, kind of crazy. She has hallucinations and stuff like that. So you see Wings Hauser's character as possibly just an illusion, like a figment of her imagination.
Mhm.
But it turns out like right away, he is actually dead, but he's like a physical ghost because everybody can see him, not just her.
Yeah.
It's
That's
weird.
how I interpret it.
It's the
It's just
weirdest.
like,
It's a very weird narrative in the fact that like he's totally a physical ghost because there's interactions with other characters throughout the film with him.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay,
But is she just seeing those interactions, or
No.
I think
No.
He kills people, maybe.
That's
No.
this movie is fucking bizarre.
No,
Like,
because when he kills people, like he's physically doing it, and like there's even the scene where the one girl's like, "Oh fuck him," you know, she's screaming at him and stuff. Like she physically can see him. Like it's not just in our main character's mind. So it's like this really weird setup where you think it's like a figment of her imagination, but it completely isn't. And it's strange because you keep thinking that, you know, it's not real. It's not real. It's not real. Because they tell this whole backstory about how he was executed. But like the whole third act even makes the story even more bizarre because he's quite obviously having these physical altercations and stuff. And like how they rid him is in like a very ghostly way. You know, like he's so involved with this house. He's become one with this house because that was his passion, right? He was fixing up this house when he was executed and all the shit went down. And that's why he's back there and stuff. And like, I don't know where they get this idea they're going to burn the house, but it catches him on fire. It's like he's physical, but he's also connected to this house, like in a certain fucking like ghostly way.
Is it like a poltergeist?
It's weird, right? He's like a ghost, but he's connected to like, and he catches on fire. It's like the weirdest narrative.
Yeah.
It's so fucking strange, like how it breaks down, because it's hard to separate the fact that like, you know, that he's being like, he's physical to people.
Yeah.
But then you can't really kill him that way, except for like burning the house, which they do.
he burned down his work.
He was set, he was one with the house, right? And I'm like, fuck, this is such a weird narrative. It's such a strange film, but the whole idea is that they're playing out this whole mental illness type thing and stuff like that. And it's an intriguing film. I wouldn't say it's a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I find this one oddly entertaining.
Oh yeah,
I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's like
it's like such an easy watch, bro. Like I don't know, it just and dude, like some of the kills are actually fun. Like the one with the circular saw where he's just cutting off dudes' arms.
Yeah,
and shit.
like nothing.
The guy's like acting like nothing's happening. I'm like, what the fuck?
Thank you, Tyler, for bringing that up, because I have this noted, and it's like the weirdest thing. It's almost like it's like in a dream state, right? And it's playing off her mentality. Like, is she actually seeing this? Is she hallucinating? Because he's cutting off this guy's arm like in a comical way, but it's not.
The guy's like not
comical
even
at all.
It's like Slumber Party Massacre 2, man.
He's like no selling his arms getting sawed off.
That's actually a good comparison that it reminded me of Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Right. The whole fucking dream state of like The Rock. Yeah.
Yeah. If it does feel very, very dreamy, this whole movie.
That's what I love about this movie. It totally has that dream aspect. And you know me with like, dream sequences and films that aren't like dream movies. It usually drives me nuts, but this one is like oddly entertaining because it's so weird in the fact that he's not like a apparition. He's like a physical ghost. I don't know. It just separates it for me. It's weird, man. It's so strange. I think this one is entertaining as fuck, man.
So like, I thought this was a fucking mess, but like Wing Hauser is like so committed to just playing this like unhinged Carpenter guy that it's like so like entertaining. Like,
oh yeah,
you just know he's gonna go like ape shit on someone at some point. You're just kind of waiting for that the whole movie.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I thought otherwise was kind of like this movie was kind of wild. There's some questionable acting.
It's super wild, dude. One of the things that I found like kind of funny about this movie is like you have this like subplot of like these people working on the house or whatever, and the two dudes are like dicking around when like the owner of the house is there, and then he's like, I want those two fired.
Yeah.
And then the dude goes and like tells him like, hey, I gotta let you go. And they're all pissed off. And I'm like, well, dude, if you know the owner's there, maybe don't look like you're dicking around. Like that's like working 101, right?
That owner was a dick though. He's like, oh
yeah, the owner is a dick, but he has a point though. Like he's paying for these guys, and the guys are fucking around. Like he's paying for these guys to do their job.
Like the dudes were totally in the wrong. Like it wasn't like he let them go under unjust terms, right? Like they were completely in the wrong.
Right.
Yeah, they were dicking around. Probably should have do that for the customer.
Dude, like I know that anytime like a big boss or like an owner or like
look fucking
big,
busy.
like look like you're working 6 times as hard as you normally do.
You know what I can't get over, man, is the one construction worker that just like blatantly starts hitting on our main actor or the main
the rapey guy.
Yeah, like, dude, you know that she's married and shit, like, and the guy's probably gonna be back sooner than later, and like,
yeah, and he tells the other guys like, yeah, I'm gonna go fuck this, the homeowner over there.
Oh, he gets
like,
oh my god! Oh, that was fucking. Oh,
that's one thing about this movie, though, man. Some of the kills are pretty entertaining, like when the guy's getting his limbs chopped off and like with the drills and stuff. But I love the Vice scene, and that thing was clearly cut, like even in the Scorpion DVD. Like you can tell they put that shit back in from like a cut version or whatever because it dips in quality and shit. So I like that fucking Vice kill, man. It's pretty cool. It's good stuff.
I love, like, I'm kind of weird, but I love occupational themed horror movies.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Like the
dentist,
Carpenter.
The Carpenter. You know what I mean?
Where's the electrician?
Where are the cable guys?
There's got to be an electrician, man. Like, come on.
How is there not an electrician?
Right? Because it makes perfect sense. Like electricity and killing, like that makes a lot of fucking sense. But although the Carpenter,
another movie that's like the Shocker, where he does the same thing. Last Picture Show,
House
or
3.
Like, yeah.
Oh yeah, the horror show.
The horror show, yeah. I kind of like that movie.
I've never been.
I've never actually seen that movie.
I have it on Blu-ray when I buy anything Shout Factory put out. Like, oh, it must be a great movie.
I have it.
Yeah, I've got it a couple times because Shout Factories, and then of course in the house box set too.
Well, dude, you have like such a like array of weapons when you like make the killer a carpenter. Like, dude,
yeah. totally, man. He's got fucking drill. The nail gun shit is so funny, dude.
Like, torches.
I think Wings Hauser just like really salvages this movie. Like he's so good.
Back in like 88, you could actually shoot a nail gun like that. Now they got the locks on them. Like you actually have to press it up against something for it to shoot and stuff. Like you could actually shoot.
That was always something like I'd say when I saw like Final Destination 3, and I was like, that's bullshit.
Yeah, because every nail gun I've ever used in my life, you actually have to press it up against something to release the lock, right? So yeah, you actually can't shoot those things. So unless you hold it back, but.
Right.
No one's going to do that.
That's just how they're designed now. It's like an air pressurized thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just safety.
Well, back in the 80s, we also had like the lawn darts that would impale people all the time too. So of course we had nail guns like that.
Yeah, there's a lot. But I mean, dude, you could literally the stepfather, the stepmother, the carpenter, the dentist. Like I love shit like this, dude.
Yeah. It's so simple, but it works well.
Yeah.
It does.
No, this is a fun. It's like not high art, but it's a fun little 1988 slasher / ghost / hodgepodge of craziness.
Well, the thing I like about this one, like I said, it's way past the golden age of slashers, but they didn't try to make like your standard slide. They tried to do something a little bit different, and it kind of works. It's memorable in the fact that like at least they had somebody like Wings Hauser in the lead role. Yeah. So it's memorable. And I think some of the kills are pretty good, but it does, man. This movie opens up feeling like it's going to be an erotic thriller. It has that soundtrack. It has that score. It just has that feel. It almost has like a TV, like erotic thriller, like late night fucking Cinemax type feel to it. It's really strange. But I'm glad it doesn't continue along with that because you know me with like love and shit and erotic. I hate that shit, man. So this one doesn't really go into that, even though it does kind of play off the whole relationship thing and stuff. And yeah, I got to say, like the husband in here, douchebag,
100%.
Like I love the fact that like bitch comes over to like confront her and stuff like that, but then totally gets done in. I love that, man. She gets all fucked up. It's great. I gotta love it. Yep. What else I got on here? But yeah, like I think the ending is still the trippiest thing, though.
Oh yeah, how he
It's
died.
like it's just so out of pocket.
Like you set the house, like they set the house on fire, and then like he catches on fire because he's like all of a sudden one with the house. Like that was
He's
his.
one with his work.
They just try to they confirm that it's supernatural in a way.
But in a sense, exactly. But in a sense, like it's this physical ghost, but it's still supernatural. And I like the way they did it. Actually made a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Even though it doesn't make sense, it made sense. If that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
I'm hip.
Right?
I mean,
Just
Like you
It's
can't have
just
a
goofy,
physical
like-
ghost. It's like almost like an oxymoron. You can't be a physical ghost.
like nothing about this movie is suggesting you take it seriously. I think you're just rolling with what it does.
But the whole idea of him burning up when the fire catches the house makes complete sense because this is
Yeah, it
what brought
does.
him back in the first place. The only reason why he's back there is because he was there to finish his work.
Yeah, I
Right.
kind of love it. That part's pretty funny.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I like it, man. But I'm just glad it's Wings Hauser, man. Fucking Vice Squad, man.
He saved this movie, I think, from being like something.
I love
really
Wings
bad.
Hauser. Actually, I posted a picture of what we were recording today, and people were like, "Oh, Wings Hauser makes everything better." I'm like, "Fucking right, he does." He's just one of those dudes, man. He's one of those guys. He's underappreciated, I think. But people that know Wings Hauser. You know, that's cool.
I know Wings of Redemption.
Yeah. All right. So ratings on the Carpenter. Is it me? Am I?
go ahead.
I think I am actually.
That would
I'm-
be me.
yeah, it is you. It is you.
Yeah, this movie is fun. I don't think it's like amazing or anything, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 6.5 out of 10.
I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. I think it's pretty damn fun. And it's only because Wings Hauser does what he needs to do in this. And he's awesome. And it's got some pretty funny kills. Come on, let's face it. So, and it's not your just standard A to B.
It's never
fucking slasher.
boring, so that's a big positive.
No, it definitely has an odd feel to being a slasher film, though. Like I said, it starts out feeling like an erotic thriller, and it does have those moments throughout the film with the score and stuff. But then again, there is that whole love kind of interest in it also that plays into it. So it does make sense, but I think it's fun. It's fun stuff. It's going to get a 4K release probably next week, so be on the lookout for that.
Really?
All right.
Mason.
Am I the next one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so all three of these movies are great, and I consider them slashers. I love slashers because I think they enunciate the absurdity of life, and certainly this one does. Besides all three of these being like mental health movies, I think they're all kind of like this bitch crazy type of movies. And besides the praise for Wings, which is deserved, also Lynn Adams in this movie is a really good performance. Wings Hauser has a lot of great one-liners, like if you do something right, it stays right. And I love the little driller.
And then like whenever the wife becomes like starts painting the house and stuff like that, and then she's like copying like his whole vibe.
I just love how he's like this all stand-up American too, and he's like when she swears, and he's like, you know, that language doesn't sit well on a lady's tongue. Like he says shit like that, right? It's great, great lines.
Insanity.
Yeah,
A lot of fun. I give it a 7.5.
nice. Well, actually, these movies went over better than I thought they were.
Well,
going
Tyler
to.
didn't rate yet.
Yeah.
You're
Oh, shit.
shitty.
Shit, I thought. Yeah, sorry, bud.
Oh yeah, this movie it's fine. It's like it's not the greatest, but Wings Hauser kind of saves it from being something that's like completely irredeemable. It's short enough, it's fine enough. It's not great, but I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
Cool, man.
Well, I mean, the ratings went over like I thought they were going to. Going back to that, so yeah, no, I think this was a really fucking fun show, and like we said before, this was not even planned to have this common theme of like mental illness and stuff. It's just worked out, so it's like a double theme.
Yeah,
Canadian
no,
films.
it's a triple theme.
Yeah.
You got Canadian mental health slashers.
Weird.
And the 80s, baby.
In the 80s. So there's four. There's technically four themes.
Four themes, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Just like we wrote it up.
Yeah, good stuff though, man. Really, really fun. Really, really
yeah,
fun.
No, this was a good show, Moodz. You came up with this one.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Glad to join y'all.
So there's
thanks, Mason.
for sure, man. For sure. Yeah. I mean, knowing that you're a big slasher fan, you had to be part of this. So
Thank you.
yeah, glad you came on and enjoyed it. So yeah, good stuff. You guys got anything else before we get the fuck out of here?
I do not.
I'm cool.
You guys are all cool. Okay. Well, I mean, that's going to conclude episode 252, Canucksploitation Volume 1. Who knows when we'll do another one? We have a lot of volumes of episodes that we've neither ever really got to part 2. I think there's a few.
Yeah, we have volume 4 of Zoology coming up.
Yes. So what actually is the schedule for the show? Because next week, like I said, we already mentioned in the intro, we're not doing a show next week. It's Super Bowl. So the next show is going to be 2011. And then after, I guess we'll just continue along with the
After
shows.
that, I think it's the serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer show.
Yep.
And then I think it's
Bears.
Zoology 4. And then
there's an OG verse remake show, and then
yes,
and then we just have a million other shows that we can kind of rip into there. So
yeah,
be on the lookout for those coming up soon. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys again with the 2011 top 10 show. Which who's all actually on that show? I think
it's me, you, Tyler, Dave Z, and Carly.
Yeah,
so
that's my understanding.
Okay, so there's going to be 5 lists on that one. So it'll probably be a marathon. I'm assuming that the lists are going to be quite different, so I'm assuming there's going to be quite a bit different.
I have no idea what anybody's number 1 is, including mine.
Yeah, I don't know what my number 1 is.
Like, do you guys know my number 1?
No,
because
I haven't even thought about anyone's
with
number
Dave.
1.
I think Dave is the hardest person right now because he has everything rated like 8 or 9. So I have no idea what the hell he actually is going to put at the top of his list, or even what he's going to have on there. Like, I just know for a fact that I'm predicting right now, me and Dave Z only have maybe 1 or 2 the same. So lists are going to be completely different. Carly, I have no idea what's with 2011, what she likes, and what she doesn't like.
I think I'm honestly like I'm going to be like 0 to 2 the same with Dave, I think.
Yeah, I think mine, I feel like my list is going to be a lot different than everyone else's.
I don't even have a 10 yet. I don't have a 10 I'm happy with yet.
Yeah. The only 10 I gave was I
mean, like, I don't have 10 movies I'm happy with yet.
The Ari Aster's short.
Yeah, I haven't even given above an 8.5. So
yeah, neither have I.
Well, I have a couple 9s, but they're not qualifying for my list, I don't think. Like, I think Take Shelter I gave pretty high, but I don't think I'm going to qualify that as a horror film.
I'm going to rewatch it. There's a couple movies like that's
it's a good movie.
Watch movies.
I would have no problem if somebody had Take Shelter on their list, but personally, it wouldn't make my list. Probably, I don't know if it would.
I think it's a good movie, but I just honestly, like, when I look at the year and what I am considering for my top 10, there's no space for it.
Right.
What was I going to say again? How do you guys feel about Super 8 and The Gray as horror movies?
Dude, I've always considered Super 8 a horror film, but
me too.
I'm in the minority on that.
Gray, definitely.
See, like, this because like I watched both those this week, and like I don't have a problem with either of those movies at all.
Like like Super 8 to me just feels like Monster Squad.
Yeah, like, I don't know. There's just different levels, and I don't think there's a problem with that though. At all those movies, but then I kind of went back at movies I thought maybe weren't horror. I'm like, well, these are fucking horror. Like, I think these are horror too. Then
I don't know about
The Gray is dark enough to be sort of a horror type film for me because they are getting picked off one by one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is a lot of like fear there and stuff.
Yeah.
The only reason, like, if it was a like lower budget with like no name actors, I feel like it would be more considered horror film.
probably.
But I think because who is it? Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
I feel like
It's a very well made movie. Like, at the minimum,
it's good. I like The Gray.
I definitely know one movie that might make a couple lists that isn't definitely not going to be on Dave Z's list is Hobo with a Shotgun. Like, I don't think he liked it. Like, I was actually quite shocked when the way he was talking about it. Like, I don't think he'd ever seen it before. I'm like, you never seen Hobo with a Shotgun?
I'm actually not a huge fan of it either.
honestly, I used to be a huge fan. I rewatched and I was like, oh, I should have left this in my memory.
Man, you guys are fucked in the head, man. It's great.
I know. I used to love it. I was like,
Here
oh,
we are
it's heartbreaking.
we're talking about fucking how awesome these Canadian slashes were, and now we're ripping on Hobo with a shotgun. Come on, man. It's Canadian, man. Come on. No, I got a feeling a couple Canadian films are going to be making my top 10 list, so let's leave it at that. But
I think I have. I have to look what's Canadian, but I think there's one. I think is definitely making.
well, I always talk about Astron 6 films, so just break that one down. But
I kind of love. But the thing is, like, I don't know, like, it's in contention, but I fucking love Father's Day, and I love the fucking Taint.
I started watching Father's Day, and it seemed really, really like homosexual, like rapey.
There's a lot of gay jokes.
That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
But then there's also Manborg from Astron 6 too.
Manborg is fucking hilarious. There's a lot of really good, like, low budget movies.
Oh, Manborg is such a blast, dude.
Dude, I had so much fun rewatching The Taint too. The Taint fucking rules.
Dude, The Taint is so good.
I've been trying to get The Taint on MB, and it's just not working.
Oh, I'm so glad I bought that Blu-ray when it came out.
Yeah, I have the Blu-ray.
Like, it goes for crazy.
I was actually gonna watch. I was gonna watch it. No, there was a copy. I should have bought it then, because there was a Blu-ray copy at Cinema Wasteland at the Trauma table.
Oh yeah,
yeah. There's a Trauma release. Yeah, I have the Blu-ray.
Right.
Anyway, I'm hungry.
Yeah, I am starving myself. So we're going to get the fuck out of here, and we're going to see you next show for the 2011 Top 10. All right. Yep. Check you guys later.
That's all, folks.